Tonight, we're exploring all 9 generations of Pokémon and breaking it down into one story, the complete history of the Pokémon world. For those of you who've been joining us consistently, I want to thank you for being such an integral part of our channel. If you're falling asleep with us tonight, let me know in the comments how many nights in a row you've been here. And if this is your first night, just comment day 1. Now let's get back to the video. In the beginning, there was nothing but a swirling void of chaos, a formless expanse where time and space had no meaning, and the concept of existence was a dream yet to be dreamt. Within this vacuum, a single egg shimmered into being, and from that egg hatched the original one, the Alpha and the Omega, the architect of everything we have ever known. With a single breath, the Creator reached out into the nothingness and birthed the pillars of reality. It crafted time to flow like an endless river, space to expand into an infinite canvas, and spirit to give life meaning, emotion, and will. This is not just a fairy tale told to children in the sleepy corners of the Sinnoh region. It is the foundation of a reality that spans 9 massive generations, dozens of sprawling regions, and thousands of years of recorded and unrecorded history. We often look at this world through the lens of a single journey, a 10-year-old child leaving home with a backpack and a dream to be the very best, but beneath the surface of those simple adventures lies a narrative of cosmic proportions. It is a story of ancient wars that reshaped the continents, of gods that sleep beneath the ocean floor or roam the highest reaches of the atmosphere, and of a bond between humans and creatures that has survived the rise and fall of civilizations. When we step into the tall grass for the first time, we aren't just starting a game. We are stepping into a living, breathing timeline that has been meticulously built over nearly 30 years of our time and millennia of theirs. From the rugged, snowy peaks of the ancient Hisui region, where the first explorers trembled at the sight of a lightning-bolted noble, to the neon-soaked streets of modern-day Paldea, where students uncover the paradoxes of time itself, every single event is connected. The rise of Team Rocket in the urban sprawl of Kanto isn't an isolated incident. It is a ripple in a pond that stretches all the way to the corporate conspiracies of Galar and the ideological crusades of Unova. We're talking about a world where a silent protagonist on top of a frozen mountain is more than just a boss fight. He is a living legend whose shadow looms over every trainer who has come after him. This is a universe where the weather isn't just a mechanic, but the literal manifestation of a prehistoric grudge between the land and the sea. It is a world where the very fabric of the multiverse has been torn open, revealing alternate dimensions where the light has been consumed, or where the history we know played out in a terrifyingly different way. Why does this story matter so much? Why do we find ourselves returning to these shores and forests year after year, decade after decade? It is because the history of the Pokémon world is a reflection of our own desire for discovery and our fundamental need to understand our place in a vast, mysterious universe. It asks the big questions. How do we coexist with power that can level cities? What happens when human ambition outpaces our morality? Can a bond of friendship truly change the course of destiny? The stakes are never just about winning a trophy or filling a digital encyclopedia. They are about preventing the literal end of time, stopping the erasure of space, and protecting the delicate balance of nature from those who would see it destroyed for their own gain. We have watched as small-town rivalries evolved into global conflicts, and as local myths were proven to be terrifyingly real. Every fossil we revive, every legendary bird we track through the mountains, and every mysterious ruin we decipher is a piece of a puzzle that is finally coming together. But as we stand here today, looking back across 9 generations of history, we realize that the more we learn, the more the mystery deepens. We find ourselves asking about the origins of the Megastones and how they tie into an ancient war that ended 3,000 years ago. We wonder about the true nature of the Ultra Beasts, and whether they are simply animals from another place or something far more sinister. We look at the strange symbols etched into the walls of the Sinnoh ruins and wonder if the Creator is still watching us, waiting for the next great shift in the world's energy. There are gaps in the records, whispers of lost eras, and contradictions in the lore that suggest the timeline is far more complex than a simple linear progression. Was the Great War of Kalos the same event that influenced the legends of the desert in Hoenn? Does the energy of the terrestrial phenomenon in the deep craters of Paldea have a connection to the wishing stars that fall from the sky in Galar? The deeper you dig, the more you realize that every region is a chapter in a single, massive epic that is still being written. Tonight, we're going to do something that has rarely been attempted in such detail. We're going to step back from the tall grass and look at the entire map. We're going to bridge the gap between the ancient past and the cutting-edge present. We are going to follow the threads of history from the moment the first Pokeball was crafted, from an apricorn to the moment the first Master Ball was engineered in a high-tech lab. We will witness the birth of the world, the awakening of the Titans, the rise of the villainous teams who tried to remake reality in their own image, and the journeys of the trainers who stood in their way. Whether you are here to study the intricate lore of a world you love, or simply to drift off to sleep to the sounds of a sprawling saga, you're about to embark on the definitive journey through the history of the Pokémon world. This is 9 generations of triumph, tragedy, and transformation. This is one story told across the ages. This is the complete history of everything. In the absolute hush before existence itself drew breath, there lay only the void. No ticking of seconds, no vast expanses to echo across, no particles whispering into form. You can almost feel it, that profound stillness, heavier than any darkness you've known, where potential slumbered without shape or sound. It was a nothingness so complete it defied comprehension, a canvas untouched by light, unmarred by motion, eternal in its emptiness. From within this boundless quiet, something stirred. Not a crack of thunder or a burst of flame, but a subtle pulse, like the first heartbeat in an unborn world. A cosmic egg materialized, cradled in the void's embrace, pearlescent, flawless, humming with unspoken promise. Legends whisper of it as the heart of all things, a vessel forged from the raw essence of what could be. Slowly, deliberately, its shell parted, and Arceus stepped forth. Arceus, the original one, embodiment of the infinite, towering yet ethereal, its form a wheel of gold and white, plates shifting like the facets of creation itself. With eyes that pierced the non-existence, it surveyed the void and deemed it wanting. In that moment, Arceus became the architect, wielding willpower as its tool. From its own being, it spun the threads of reality, gravity to bind, energy to flow, laws that would govern every atom yet to form. You sense the magnitude, one entity's vision, birthing order from chaos, plates clanging softly as they realign, channeling forces that echo through every Pokémon battle you'll ever witness. But creation demanded guardians, stewards for the pillars of existence. Arceus turned its gaze inward once more, extruding orbs of pure potential from its form. The first went to Dialga, born of steel and diamond, its chest a ceaseless clockwork heart. Dialga claimed time itself, stretching moments into eons, folding past and future into a tapestry you navigated with every Pokeball toss. Its raw warps seconds, accelerates ages, holds the flow that lets civilizations rise and fall. Beside it emerged Palkia, iridescent pearl and mighty arms, controller of space. With a gesture, it tore open dimensions, crafting the arenas where oceans crash and mountains pierce skies. Palkia's domain is the stretch between stars, the pocket realms hidden in every shadow. the very ground beneath your feet in Paldea or Hisui. Together, Dialga and Palkia wove the framework, time marching forward, space expanding outward. Yet their harmony was incomplete, for balance required a third, Giratina, the shadowed counterpart, born to rule antimatter and the unseen undercurrents, renegade in form, ghostly wings and crimson eyes glaring from a twisted frame. It embodied opposition, the gravity to time's flow, the void to space's fullness. At first, the trio danced in unison, their powers intertwining like roots, delving into fertile soil. Dialga's ticks synced with Palkia's expansions, Giratina anchoring the edges where reality frayed. Arceus watched, satisfied, as the void began to shimmer with possibility. Trouble brewed in that fragile equilibrium. Giratina's nature, wild and unyielding, chafed against the order. Its antimatter surges lashed out, warping time streams and crumpling spatial folds, threatening the newborn laws. Legends speak of rifts tearing open, echoes of chaos spilling back into the forming cosmos. Dialga roared in defiance. Palkia braced the breaches, but Giratina's fury escalated, a primal clash that shook the foundations before they solidified. Arceus intervened, its plates glowing with divine resolve. In a cataclysmic judgment, it seized Giratina and hurled it through a rift of its own making. Down into the distortion world it plummeted, a mirror realm of inverted gravity, crumbling geometries, and eternal twilight. There, Giratina rules unchallenged, its grudge a low growl echoing across dimensions, occasionally bleeding through as glitches in Hisui's skies or Paldea's paradoxes. The first cosmic conflict etched scars into reality, a reminder that even gods cast long shadows. With the trio in place, Dialga and Palkia in the physical planes, Giratina exiled yet vital, the stage was set. Arceus retreated to slumber, its work foundational but unfinished. The void receded, yielding to a cradle of potential, where matter would coalesce and life would stir. What happens next, as that cradle takes earthly form in shaping the terrestrial cradle, pulls you deeper into the saga, where continents rise and the first Pokémon roam free, with the foundational laws of time, space and matter now woven into existence by Arceus. The chaotic void stirs once more, birthing titans of raw elemental fury to claim the newborn world. Deep beneath the molten crust, Groudon awakens first, its colossal form cracking through layers of searing rock and lava flows. This behemoth of the earth, eyes glowing like twin volcanoes on the verge of eruption, surges upward with a roar that shatters the fragile skies. Its every step heaves mountains into jagged peaks, while rivers of magma spill forth, cooling into vast plains and unbreakable stone. Groudon doesn't merely walk the land, it forges it. Continents rise under its crimson claws, supercontinents splintering into the rough outlines of future realms, where fertile soils promise life amid the steam and ash. You can almost feel the ground trembling, the heat baking the air as stone hardens into the backbone of the world, a testament to unyielding terrestrial might. But harmony fractures swiftly. From the abyssal depths, where pressures crush diamond to dust, Kyogre breaches the surface in a cataclysmic spray of salt water and thunder. This leviathan of the seas, its body a swirling vortex of azure scales and primal hydration, unleashes torrents that drown the newborn shores. Oceans expand in relentless waves, carving deep trenches and flooding Groudon's hard-won lands. Rain lashes endlessly, from skies turned ink black, carving canyons where mountains once stood, birthing coral reefs in hours what would take eons for lesser forces. The air thickens with salt spray, mists that blind and chill as Kyogre's primal pulse expands the seas into boundless blue expanses, claiming more than half the planet in a single, insatiable surge. Their ambitions collide in inevitable war. Groudon's drought-bringing heat evaporates oceans into choking steam, cracking seabeds into deserts that stretch endlessly under a merciless sun. Kyogre retaliates with monsoons of biblical fury, hailstones the size of boulders pulverizing stone, lightning forking across horizons in electric webs. The atmosphere boils, hurricanes twist into mile-high funnels, tornadoes of fire and water rage unchecked, while earthquakes from Groudon stomps send tsunamis crashing against continental shelves. The first catastrophic weather war engulfs the globe, skies weeping blood-red rain mixed with lava flecks, winds howling like the death cries of gods. Life, if it dared flicker here, would be smothered in this elemental Armageddon, land and sea locked in eternal, world-shattering strife. High above the maelstrom, patrolling the fragile ozone veil that shields the planet from cosmic rays, Rayquaza senses the peril. This serpentine sky sovereign, emerald coils shimmering against the void's edge, plummets earthward like a comet of judgment. Its roar pierces the storm clouds, a sonic boom that halts the chaos mid-breath. Coiling through thunderheads, Rayquaza unleashes megapulses of draconic energy, forcing Groudon back into subterranean slumber and Kyogre into ocean trenches. The Ozone Guardian enforces balance, mending the torn skies with its presence alone, restoring breathable air and scattering the warring titans to their domains. Peace settles uneasily, the world a patchwork of sculpted earth and tamed waters, but the scars linger, fissures that whisper of future awakenings. Yet the continents drift, unstable in their infancy, superheated plates grinding with latent fury. Enter Regigigas, the colossal golem forged from ancient clay and star-fallen meteorite, its yellowed eyes awakening with mechanical purpose. Towering miles high, muscles like braided granite cables, it seizes the landmasses in fists that dwarf mountains. With Herculean pulls, Regigigas hauls them into alignment, dragging slabs of earth across ocean beds in slow earth-shaking migrations. Feel the groan of bedrock yielding, the splash of displaced seas as it positions the landmasses we know today. The verdant sprawl that will become Hoenn's volcanic isles, the frozen tundras of Sinnoh's peaks, the sprawling archipelagos of Kanto and Johto nestled close, like siblings. Regional shapes emerge, Paldea's terraced cliffs, Unova's urban plains, Galar's craggy moors, each tugged into permanence by Regigigas's unyielding grip. It plants them firm, weaving ley lines of magnetic force to hold them against tidal pulls, crafting the map of Pokémon realms from raw chaos. As stability takes root, a gentler presence arrives. Mew, the elusive genetic ancestor, a pink wisp of ethereal whimsy darting through the cooling mists. Born not from elemental clash, but from the distilled essence of potential, Mew carries within its tiny form the DNA blueprint of every Pokémon species yet to come. It flits like a living comet, phasing through solid stone, giggling echoes rippling across winds. In hidden grottos and mist-shrouded lagoons, Mew experiments playfully, splicing genes in bursts of bioluminescent sparkles, proto-Pikachu sparks from electric dreams, Bulbasaur vines twisting from fertile mud. This ancestor doesn't rule, it seeds diversity, a wandering catalyst ensuring life's tapestry unfolds in infinite variety. Forests whisper with its laughter, rivers shimmer with latent evolutions, as Mew's legacy embeds itself in every cell, every egg waiting to hatch. The terrestrial cradle now cradles possibility, lands locked in place, oceans bounded, his skies serene under Rayquaza's watch, and the spark of all Pokémon ignited by Mew's touch. But whispers of human ambition stir in the shadows of these newborn wilds, an expedition into untamed Hisui that will test the fragile balance we've forged. Join me next in Chapter 3, the Hisui expedition, where ancient surveys collide with rampaging nobles and space-time begins to fracture. Centuries drift by in fragile equilibrium after Rayquaza's intervention, the skies clearing to reveal stars that whisper of deeper cosmic forces stirring far beyond the cradle of land and sea. Deep within the jagged heart of what will one day be known as Sinnoh, Mount Coronet pierces the heavens like a colossal spear, its peaks shrouded in eternal mists where the fabric of reality frays at the edges. One fateful dawn, the air shatters. A rift tears open high above the mountain summit, a swirling vortex of violet light crackling with unnatural energy, distorting time itself. Colours bleed into one another, echoes of distant eras overlapping in a deafening roar that shakes the earth. From this anomaly tumbles a lone figure, a stranger hurled across centuries from a world of Pokeballs and gym badges, crashing into the snow-swept wilds of Hisui. Disoriented, clad in unfamiliar garb, this traveller from the future finds themselves in an age untouched by human dominance, where Pokémon roam as apex predators, in a land raw and unforgiving. Hisui stretches out vast and merciless, a primordial Sinnoh, teeming with life, both beautiful and brutal. Towering alphas stalk the forests, their roars echoing like thunder across mist-veiled valleys, bodies swollen to monstrous sizes from unchecked primal fury. Rivers churn with schools of ferocious basculin, while herds of Wyadeer thunder across plains dotted with jagged obsidian rocks. The air carries the sharp tang of pine and wet earth, mingled with the metallic scent of impending storms, and every shadow hides potential peril. Villages huddle like fragile beacons amid this chaos, their wooden palisades scarred from relentless assaults by wild beasts driven mad. Enter the Galaxy Expedition Team, a band of hardy surveyors dispatched from distant lands to chart this untamed frontier. Led by the stern Kamado, they carve out a tenuous existence in Jubilife Village. Their ramshackle base, a hive of flickering lanterns and hurried whispers. You've got to picture it. Traders bartering meagre rations under creaking awnings, key blacksmiths hammering crude weapons at dawn, and scouts returning bloodied from the wilds, their tales of colossal Pokémon sending chills through the ranks. Survival demands constant vigilance, harvesting berries under moonlight to avoid Bidoof swarms, fortifying walls against nocturnal raids by Hisui and Gudra, their viscous hides gleaming with dew. The team's mission? To catalogue every creature, every herb, every hidden spring. But nature fights back with tooth and claw, testing their resolve to the breaking point. At the eye of this storm swirl the noble Pokémon, majestic guardians elevated to near-divine status, yet plunged into a frenzy that ravages the land. Their eyes glow crimson, bodies pulsing with distorted energy from those same space-time rifts plaguing the region. Lord Cleaver scuttles across obsidian fieldlands on blades sharper than steel, slicing boulders in half with frenzied swings. Avalugg crushes paths through icy tundras, its glacial form barreling through anything in its rage. These nobles, once protectors, bonded to human emissaries, now sow destruction, their rampages flooding valleys and igniting wildfires that paint the horizon in orange fury. The Galaxy team watches in horror as villages burn, livelihoods shatter, and the rift's influence spreads like a plague, warping reality into pockets where past and future bleed together. Glimpses of Dialga's scales or Palkia's portals flickering in the chaos. Amid this turmoil rise two ancient clans, locked in fervent rivalry that deepens the mystery shrouding Hisui's soul. The Diamond Clan, followers of Palkia, the spatial ruler, don their crystalline armour and chant praises to the Lord of Dimensions, convinced the Rift's herald divine expansion. Their leader, Adaman, strides with unyielding confidence, his eyes fixed on unravelling the spatial anomalies tearing the world apart. Opposing them, the Pearl Clan reveres Dialga, master of time, draped in pearlescent robes as they perform rituals under starlit skies. Irida's voice rising in pleas to restore temporal order. Tensions simmer like a pot on the boil, raids on sacred sites, heated debates in Jubilife's tense markets, accusations flying that one clan's deity provoked the frenzy. Whispers circulate of a greater truth. Both clans descended from a singular faith in almighty Sinnoh, now fractured by fear, their shamans guarding forbidden lore etched on ancient plates, hinting at creation's architect, watching from afar. You join this fray as the outsider, your knowledge from eras unborn, proving both gift and curse. Tasked by Kamado to calm the nobles, you trek treacherous paths, scaling crimson mylands where Lilligant dances amid toxic blooms, her petal storms lashing like whips, braving the warped cobalt shores where Overquill's quills poison the very air. Crafting special balms from rare fruits, succulent cherries and blistering spices, you approach each lord not with force, but cunning, dodging seismic stomps from Ursaluna's mud-caked bulk, or aerial barrages from Hisuian Avalug's frozen shards. One by one, the frenzies break, crimson fades to clarity, and bonds reform, revealing the rift's true source. Distortions echoing from Mount Coronet's peak, pulling threads from Dialga and Palkia's eternal clash. Deeper inquiries unveil chilling secrets. Volo, the merchant with a scholar's tongue and shadowed eyes, speaks cryptically of ancient plates depicting Arceus's descent, his passion bordering on obsession. The clan's schism masks a shared prophecy of red skies and a being beyond gods. As rifts widen, summoning warped echoes of Pokémon from impossible times, so as the Galaxy team rallies for survival's sake, their village evolving into a bastion of invention. Crude Pokeballs forged from apricorns, maps redrawn with every near-death encounter. The crescendo builds to the Temple of Sinnoh, perched in a hidden cleft where time pools like liquid silver. Here, betrayal strikes. Volo reveals his lineage as a descendant of the ancient sage who communed with Arceus, his dream to remake the world through summoned legendaries thwarted only by your interference. Portals yawn wide, birthing the origin formers. Dialga resplendent in pearlescent armor, orbs of temporal might orbiting its form. Palkia, coiled in spatial majesty. Tendrils of void warping the stone. The air hums with raw power, floors cracking under gravitational strain, as you clash in a battle that bends reality. Time loops trapping your every move, his spatial rips teleporting allies into oblivion. Through grit and strategy, deploying a team honed in Hisui's crucible, you prevail, sealing the forms back to their realms and mending the greatest rift. Peace dawns fragile, the land exhaling as nobles return to vigil. Clans tentatively unite under shared awe. Yet echoes linger, a glimpse of Arceus itself in the chaos, affirming the cycle of creation's guardians. Hisui endures, its surveys complete, seeding the Sinnoh that future champions will tread. But shadows of antiquity stretch further, to a kingdom where ultimate weapons slumbered beneath elegant spires, awaiting a war that would scar the earth forever. Stay with us for Chapter 4, the ancient kingdom of Kalos, where forgotten thrones rise and the veil between life and shadow thins in ways that will leave you questioning every legend you've ever chased. Centuries after the Galaxy team's desperate stand in Hisui tamed the rampaging nobles and sealed the space-time rifts, the Pokémon world had already endured far greater scars from an era lost to all but the faintest legends. 3,000 years before that turbulent expedition, on the sun-baked plains and mist-shrouded valleys of what would one day become Kalos, a war unlike any other ignited, a conflict that turned Pokémon themselves into instruments of slaughter. It began as a clash between two mighty kingdoms, their banners fluttering over fields that once bloomed with wildflowers and echoed with the playful cries of young Pokémon. Rulers, blinded by ambition, had conscripted every creature they could command, from the smallest scatterbug to the towering Tyrantrum, revived from ancient fossils. Battles raged, not with steel blades alone, but with the raw fury of living weapons. Charizard, scorching entire battalions from the skies, Garchomp tearing through earthworks like paper, and Venusaur barrages blanketing enemies in corrosive spores. You can almost hear it, the thunderous roars drowning out human screams, the ground quaking under stampeding herds of Rhyhorn-turned siege engines, rivers running red not just with blood, but with the life force of fallen Pokémon who fought not for glory, but survival. King AZ ruled at the heart of this madness, a man whose wisdom once guided his people toward prosperity. His kingdom of Kalos stood as a beacon of art and invention, as its cities alive with the hum of alchemical forges and gardens where fairy types danced among luminescent blooms. But war devoured it all. In one brutal skirmish, AZ's most cherished companion, a delicate floette, its flower eternally vibrant, rushed into the fray to shield him from a hail of enemy attacks. Petals scattered like dying stars as it fell, its tiny body crumpling amid the chaos. AZ cradled what remained, his grief twisting into an unquenchable rage. No ordinary resurrection would suffice. He vowed to defy death itself. Driven by sorrow that hollowed his soul, AZ poured his kingdom's genius into a forbidden creation, the ultimate weapon. Towering spires of obsidian and gold rose in secret beneath his palace, veins of unknown energy pulsing like a mechanical heart. He scoured the world for a power source capable of wrenching life from the void. Eternal energy, he called it, harvested from the very essence of the slain. Pokémon and soldiers alike fed this insatiable machine, their life forces siphoned into glowing orbs that hummed with stolen vitality. Whispers spread among his people. Was this salvation or abomination? AZ pressed on, blind to the cost, his mind replaying Floette's final faithful gaze. As the war reached its zenith, with both armies poised to clash in a final, apocalyptic battle across the Lumiose Badlands, AZ activated his masterpiece. A colossal tower erupted from the earth, its apex piercing storm clouds heavy with impending doom. Energy coalesced in a blinding vortex, then unleashed, a beam of pure cataclysmic light that swept across the horizon. In an instant, the opposing forces vanished, reduced to ash and memory. Victory, but at what price? AZ rushed to the weapon's core, Floette's flower clutched in his trembling hands. The machine whirred to life once more, channeling its boundless power into revival. Petals stirred, a faint glow returned. Yet the Floette that emerged was forever changed, its spirit fractured, unable to forgive the ocean of death wrought in its name. It fled into the wilds, abandoning its king to eternal exile. The ultimate weapon's cataclysm didn't end with the war. Its fallout reshaped the world in ways still felt today. That unleashed energy, wild and unbound, crystallized into scattered megastones, jewels pulsing with the potential to unlock hidden evolutions in Pokémon across the globe, genes twisted and amplified, granting species like Lucario and Charizard forms of godlike power, but at the risk of instability. The genetic tapestry of the planet altered forever, birthing a new era where mega evolution became both gift and curse, a reminder that tampering with life's core invites chaos. In the weapon's wake, the ecosystem teetered on collapse. Forests withered where the beam scorched the soil, oceans churned with unbalanced tides, Pokémon herds scattered, their instincts warped by residual energy. From the deepest chasms beneath Kalos's prism tower, Zygarde stirred, the Order Pokémon, guardian of the planet's delicate balance. Its serpentine form, segmented and watchful, slithered through caverns unseen, assessing the damage. Core, cells and power constructs assessed the threat, life hanging by threads of harmony. Deeming direct intervention too disruptive, Zygarde chose dormancy, coiling into a profound slumber within Geosenge's caverns. There it rests even now, its 10% form patrolling in silence, ready to awaken fully should the world's equilibrium fracture once more. AZ wandered the ruins of his kingdom, immortal yet broken, the ultimate weapon dismantled, but its shadow lingering in Kalos' every stone. Lumiose city rose anew from the ashes, its lights a defiant sparkle against the night, but the scars run deep, whispers of the war encoded in cave murals, Pokémon folklore, and the very air charged with latent power. This ancient tragedy forged Kalos into a land of beauty laced with peril, where fashion and battle dance on the edge of forgotten horrors. As echoes of that 3,000-year-old war fade into the mists of time, or another legend emerges from the ideals that could reshape nations, the tale awaiting you in Chapter 5, the twin heroes of Unova. What truths did those dragon-slaying brothers uncover that still divide a region to this day? As the echoes of Kalos' ultimate weapon faded into legend 3,000 years ago, another ancient saga unfolded far across the seas, in the fertile plains and towering skyscrapers of Unova. Here, two visionary brothers rose from humble origins, their hearts ablaze with a shared dream to forge a new world from the ruins of the old. United as one, they rallied followers to their cause, preaching harmony between humans and Pokémon, a realm where every creature could thrive, unbound by chains or forgotten in shadows. These brothers embodied clashing philosophies that would soon tear their vision apart. Their one championed truth, the unyielding pursuit of knowledge and facts, stripping away illusions to reveal reality's core. He believed progress demanded rigorous proof, every step verified, every bond earned through evidence. The other embraced ideals, the fire of aspiration and dreams, urging people to reach beyond what eyes could see, fueled by hope and imagination. Together they sought a singular truth to unite their people, wandering Unova's vast landscapes, from the sandy dunes of Desert Resort to the misty peaks of Twist Mountain. Gathering strength, amassing followers who saw in them the promise of renewal. Their quest led them to the heart of the region, where whispers spoke of a primordial force slumbering beneath the earth. Deep within a hidden chamber, they awakened the original dragon, a colossal being of raw, untamed power, as its scales shimmering like fractured starlight, wings vast enough to eclipse the sun. This ancient entity, born from the world's earliest energies, pulsed with the essence of creation itself, embodying both light and shadow in perfect balance. The brothers revered it as the key to their new era, offering their unwavering loyalty in exchange for its might. But unity fractured under the dragon's gaze, as the brothers debated the path forward, one demanding empirical proof of their ideals, the other insisting dreams must guide the facts. The creature sensed their divide. In a cataclysmic rupture, the original dragon sundered itself, its form splitting into two majestic counterparts. Reshiram emerged, the vast white Pokémon, a blazing embodiment of truth, its turbine tail roaring with flames of pure enlightenment, eyes piercing like spotlights through deception. Zekrom followed, the vast black Pokémon, thunder incarnate for ideals, its electric tail crackling with boundless energy, body forged from obsidian darkness that sparked visions of untapped potential. What remained was Curem, the hollow shell, a frozen husk of boundary-breaking chill, adrift and yearning, its icy form a stark reminder of the dragon's lost wholeness. The brothers claimed their dragons, Reshiram bonding to the seeker of truth, Zekrom to the champion of ideals, and together they pressed their conquest. Castelia City's spires rose higher under their rule, New Vema Town bloomed into thriving hamlets, and Unova flourished briefly in an age of innovation and wonder. Pokémon roamed freely alongside humans. Battles became displays of philosophy rather than dominance, and the brothers' thrones overlooked a land pulsing with possibility. Yet ambition bred conflict. Followers split into factions, mirroring their leaders' rift. What began as heated discourse escalated into full-scale civil war, scorching Unova's heartlands. Armies clashed across Route 4's rolling hills, where fire and thunder rent the sky asunder. Reshiram's blistering blue flare reduced battlefields to ash, illuminating truths in the carnage, while Zekrom's bolt strike shattered mountains, igniting ideals amid the storm. Villages crumbled, rivers ran red, and the once fertile plains of Unova's interior became scarred wastelands, haunted by the cries of displaced Pokémon fleeing the chaos. The war raged without mercy, brother against brother, dragon against dragon, until exhaustion claimed them all. In the final clash atop a blackened plateau, Reshiram and Zekrom locked in mortal combat, their powers colliding in a vortex of fire and lightning that shook the region's foundations. Weakened beyond endurance, the dragons petrified into stone, their forms crystallizing into colossal statues. Reshiram enshrined in the dragon's spiral tower's lofty spire, Zekrom entombed in the shadowed depths of the relic castle. Kyurem vanished into the northern giant chasm, its empty vessel freezing the tundra in perpetual isolation. The brothers vanished into obscurity, their dream shattered, Unova left in ruins. But from the ashes rose a prophecy, etched into ancient slabs and whispered by elders through generations. It foretold the coming of a true hero, not born of division, but of balance, a wanderer who would reawaken the sleeping legends, wielding both truth and ideals in harmony. This hero would confront Kyurem's void, fusing the dragons anew to heal the land's wounds, restoring the original dragon's glory and ushering in an era of unity. Villages rebuilt around this hope, trainers trained in its shadow, and the stone guardians stood sentinel, waiting for the day their flames and thunder would roar once more. Centuries passed, the prophecy fading into myth, yet its embers glowed in Unova's soul. Modern cities like Nimbasa and Opelucid rose atop those ancient battlegrounds, oblivious to the scars beneath. Team Plasma would later invoke these heroes in their twisted crusade for Pokémon liberation, echoing the old ideals, while the dragons slumbered, as their power sealed but stirring faintly, with each new challenger who climbed Dragon Spiral Tower or braved the giant chasm's blizzards. In the games of Black and White, you step into this legacy as the prophesied one, confronting En and Ghetsis amid echoes of that ancient schism. Reshiram and Zekrom choose you, their stone prisons cracking under your resolve, as Kyurem lurks, hungry for completion. The brother's tale warns of division's cost, yet promises redemption through a hero's light. And as Unova's dragons find fragile peace, shadows gather elsewhere, in the Isles of Galar, where an ancient calamity known as the Darkest Day threatens to engulf the world in endless night. Join me in Chapter 6, The Darkest Day in Galar, to uncover how eternity itself hangs by a thread. Centuries drift by after the bitter schism in Unova, where brothers' dreams shattered into opposing flames, leaving a dragon's hollow husk to haunt the shadows. Far across the seas, in the misty Isles of Galar, the skies one fateful day ignite with an unholy fire. A colossal meteor screams through the heavens, not as a mere rock from the void, but as a vessel for something alive, something ravenous from beyond the stars. This is Eternatus, the extraterrestrial devourer, crashing into the heart of the land with a force that cracks the earth and poisons the air. The impact unleashes chaos no mortal could fathom. Purple-black tendrils of energy erupt from the crater, snaking across Galar like living veins, siphoning the very life force from the soil, the rivers, the Pokémon themselves. Forests wither in moments, their leaves curling to ash as the entity feeds. Cities that once bustled with trade and laughter fall silent, their lights flickering out as Dynamax energy, raw, untamed power, is ripped from the planet's core. People huddle in fear, whispering of the end times, their world dimming under a perpetual twilight. Eternatus doesn't conquer. It consumes, growing larger, its serpentine body coiling endlessly, glowing with stolen vitality that pulses like a dying star. Panic spreads as wild Pokémon rampage, mutated by the leaking energy, their forms swelling to grotesque giants, Rivers boil dry, mountains crumble under invisible weight, and the air thickens with a toxic haze that chokes the breath from lungs. Galar teeters on oblivion, its vibrant fields turning to barren waste, the proud stadiums of future champions reduced to rubble before they could even rise. Eyewitnesses from ancient texts describe the sky splitting open, bolts of crimson lightning forking endlessly, as if the fabric of reality itself frays at the seams. But from the ancient wilds, legends stir. Deep in the fog-shrouded highlands, two wolf-like guardians awaken, Zacian and Zamazenta, the swords and shield incarnations of heroism itself. Forged in the fires of Galar's earliest myths, they embody the unbreakable bond between blade and bulwark, offense and defense entwined. Zacian, the radiant sword wielder, materializes with a blade that gleams like captured moonlight, slicing through the darkness with regal fury. Zamazenta, the steadfast shield-bearer, rises armoured in impenetrable rust-red plate, a fortress on four legs that charges unyieldingly. Together, they are hailed as the kings of Galar, not by crown or throne, but by the thunder of their roars echoing across the desolation. They clash against Eternatus in a battle that reshapes the land. Zacian's strikes carve glowing scars into the beast's hide, drawing forth geysers of corrupted energy that rain down like acid. Zamazenta absorbs the onslaught, its shield flaring with absorbed power, hurling it back in shockwaves that shatter the meteor's remnants. The ground quakes as the trio collides, clash after earth-shattering clash. Mountains topple, new valleys form from the fury. Villages miles away feel the tremors. Survivors later, etching tales of wolves the size of castles, their eyes burning with ancestral rage. Eternatus fights back with apocalyptic might, unleashing blasts that warp space, summoning hordes of spectral poison types twisted from the energy surge. Yet the kings press on, their synergy unbreakable. Zacian dances through the storm, nipping at flanks, while Zamazenta anchors the line, buying time for the final assault. Hours bleed into days, the battle a symphony of destruction, until at last, with a unified leap, they drive their combined might into the entity's core. Eternatus convulses, its body contracting, the stolen energy erupting outward in a cataclysmic wave before it collapses into dormancy. Not dead, but bound in deepest slumber, sealed within the earth's embrace by the king's unyielding will. Zacian and Zamazenta vanish into legend, their forms reverting to stone relics, waiting for Galar's hour of need once more. In the aftermath, as the skies clear and life trickles back, the people of Galar uncover miracles born from the nightmare. Scattered across the land glitter wishing stars, celestial fragments from the meteor's trail, crystalline shards pulsing with residual Dynamax power. These aren't mere rocks, they infuse Pokémon with the ability to grow colossal, tapping into the planet's buried energy veins. Trainers experiment in hushed awe, witnessing their companions swell to stadium-spanning behemoths, battles transforming from skirmishes into spectacles of raw might. The phenomenon spreads, Galar's wilds alive with these temporary titans, their roars shaking stadiums yet to be built. Word of these stars fuels a cultural renaissance. Artisans craft rusted swords and shields in homage to the kings, while scholars pore over star maps, pinpointing power spots where Dynamax blooms strongest. The energy that nearly doomed the region now defines it, as a double-edged gift from the stars. Pokémon League emerges not as a mere sport, but as sacred ritual, a testament to survival, channeling that volatile power into controlled arenas. The Galar League takes shape, its stadiums rising like monuments amid the healed scars, blending industrial might with ancient tradition. Champions aren't just victors, they're stewards of the king's legacy, their crowning battles reenacting the darkest days' heroism on grand scales. Massive crowds gather under floodlights, mimicking meteor fire, cheering as Dynamax clashes echo the ancient war. Traditions weave in, runners carrying wishing star replicas through cheering streets, bakers shaping pastries like Eternatus coils, songs recounting the wolves' valor passed down generations. The league becomes Galar's beating heart, and a spectacle where power and pageantry unite, drawing wanderers from distant shores to test their mettle. Yet whispers persist in the shadows of those stadiums. Eternatus slumbers uneasily, its influence lingering in faint purple glows beneath the earth. Power spots flicker with instability, hinting at the beast's restless dreams. The king's relics, enshrined in hidden vaults, hum faintly when danger looms. Galar thrives on this precarious balance, its people ever vigilant, their league a bulwark against forgotten hungers. And as Galar's lights shine brighter, drawing eyes to its storied battles, another ancient scar on the world map beckons, one that hides paradoxes in its depths. That story unfolds in Chapter 7, the Paldean Great Crater, where time itself unravels in ways that defy every legend we've explored so far. As the kings of Galar drove Eternatus into its endless slumber, sealing away the cataclysmic energies that scorched the land, whispers of other anomalies began to stir far across the ocean in the sun-drenched hills of Paldea. There, a colossal scar dominated the horizon, the Paldean Great Crater, a vast depression etched into the earth like a wound from some primordial fury. This wasn't born of meteor fire or warring titans, but something subtler, a hidden force that warped the very fabric of reality beneath its depths. 200 years ago, the first brave souls descended into that abyss, known as Area Zero. They were explorers from Paldea's academy, driven by tales of shimmering crystals and otherworldly lights pulsing from the crater's heart. What they uncovered defied every law of nature they knew. Pokémon there did not just battle or roam, they transformed in bursts of radiant energy, their bodies refracting into impossible colours, hardening into gems that pulsed with raw power. This was the birth of the terrestrial phenomenon, a secret phenomenon where Pokémon could tap into a crystalline state, altering types and unleashing devastating might. The expedition's logs spoke of cavern walls, alive with prismatic glows, air humming with static that made fur stand on end and skin tingle. They harvested strange herbs, Herba Mystica they called them, vibrant leaves that amplified these changes, twisting Pokémon into forms both beautiful and terrifying. But the true enigma lay deeper still. One explorer, a scholar named Heath, chronicled it all in his Scarlet and Violet book, a weathered tome passed down through generations. And Heath described sightings that chilled the blood, creatures from eras long extinct, lumbering beside beasts that shouldn't exist yet, their forms flickering like ghosts in the mist-shrouded depths. Massive steel-clad behemoths with roaring engines that belched smoke, predatory reptiles with jagged fins slicing through ancient seas, fluttering insects the size of houses that blotted out the cavern lights. These weren't myths or hallucinations, they were paradoxes, pulled through rifts in time, coexisting in defiance of history's arrow. Heath's sketches captured their ferocity, the way a futuristic Donphan variant charged with tank-like treads, or a prehistoric screamtail danced on razor winds. His warnings echoed through Paldea's halls. Area Zero wasn't a mere hole in the ground. It was a fracture, bleeding anomalies into the present. Paldea's own legends intertwined with this chaos, rooted in treasures that once promised prosperity but invited ruin. 4 sacred relics, ancient plates said to hold the essence of loyalty and power, were coveted by a kingdom on the brink of collapse. Greed festered among the rulers, twisting these gifts into curses. The plates possessed their bearers, corrupting noble Pokémon guardians into vengeful forces of destruction. Wotian, the ruinous tablet spirit, slithered from the earth as a serpentine horror of decay, its shell crumbling landscapes into barren waste. Qianpao, the sword-wielding spectre, carved blizzards from thin air, its icy blade shattering mountains with gleeful malice. Tinglu, vessel of the bead, rampaged as an earthen colossus, quaking the ground until rivers ran dry and villages vanished. And Chi-Yu, at the beady-eyed flame, ignited infernos that consumed forests, its fiery gaze melting stone to slag. Human ambition had awakened them, but Paldea's heroes rose to seal the ruinous quartet away. Deep in hidden shrines, the quartet was bound once more, their corrupted forms imprisoned within the very treasures that birthed them. The kingdom endured, but scars lingered, reminders that power unchecked devours its wielders. These events rippled outward, subtly reshaping Paldea's geography, as if the land itself recoiled from the betrayal. Generations later, the crater's secrets refused to stay buried. Modern scholars revisited Heath's accounts, probing Area Zero's lowest levels, where the air grew thick with temporal distortion, echoes of roars from futures unborn mingling with the skitter of ancient claws. They found the source, Terrapagos, and a reclusive, crystalline entity, hermit of the deep. This unassuming turtle-like Pokémon, its shell a mosaic of twinkling facets, held sway over the terrestrial load, the crystalline veins threading Paldea's bedrock. Terrapagos wasn't just a witness. It sculpted the crater eons ago, its power folding space and time into knots, drawing paradoxes like moths to flame. The Indigo Disk expeditions revealed how its influence radiated outward, birthing the terrestrial phenomenon across the region, turning ordinary battles into spectacles of refracted light and shifting essences. Heath's book proved prophetic. As researchers delved further, paradoxes swarmed, past forms like roaring great tusk variants thundering through fungal groves, future ones like Iron Valiant gliding on psychic blades amid bioluminescent blooms. The air down there hummed with dissonance, timelines brushing against each other, birthing hybrids that prowled the shadows. Terrapagos slumbered at the core, its type-shifting aura stabilizing the chaos, yet vulnerable to those who sought to exploit it. Awakening it risked unraveling Paldea entirely, collapsing eras into a single apocalyptic now. Yet humanity pressed on, academies training new generations to harness Terrestrial's gifts, turning potential doom into tools of victory. The crater became a forbidden proving ground, where students chased badges and truths alike, confronting paradoxes that tested their bonds with Pokémon. Legends spoke of ancient bikes roaring through zero-gravity shafts, professors vanishing into the void, only to return with eyes wide from glimpsed infinities. Paldea's story was one of bold descents and hard-won seals, where greed's shadows loomed large, but curiosity's light pierced deeper still. And as those modern explorers unearthed fragments of Heath's lost era, brushing against forces that could rewrite everything, we turn our gaze to the awakening that ignited it all. The Kanto awakening in Chapter 8, where a sleepy region's champions first rose to challenge the gathering storm. 2 centuries after that fateful Paldean expedition first pierced the shimmering veil of Area Zero, unearthing the radiant secrets of Terrestrial and the ancient gaze of Terrapagos, the world of Pokémon had transformed into a tapestry of human ambition intertwined with the wild pulse of nature. No longer confined to shadowed craters or forgotten discs, Pokémon now walked alongside people in bustling towns and verdant routes, their bonds forged not just in survival, but in curiosity and conquest. It was here, in the verdant heart of Kanto, that a quiet revolution stirred, one that would catalogue the very essence of these creatures and propel a new age forward. In the sun-dappled laboratory of Pallet Town, Professor Samuel Oak stood at the precipice of discovery. A man whose life had been devoted to the study of Pokémon since his youth, Oak had witnessed generations of trainers come and go, each bringing tales of battles and bonds from the far reaches of the region. But the old notebooks and sketches, yellowed with age, could no longer contain the growing menagerie of species roaming Kanto's diverse landscapes, from the fiery peaks of Sinnoh to the misty shores of Cerulean Cape. But he needed something more. a device that could scan, analyze, and record every detail in an instant, turning fleeting encounters into eternal knowledge. What emerged from his workbench was the Pokédex, a handheld marvel of circuitry and screen, its red casing gleaming like a captured sunset. No mere encyclopedia, this digital companion used advanced sensors to capture a Pokémon's cries, measure its height and weight, and detail its type affinities, evolutions, and habitats. Oak programmed it with the voices of his assistants, Daisy and the young hopefuls, who tested it, ensuring that every entry felt alive, narrated with the warmth of human wonder. Released to a select few trainers, the Pokédex revolutionized research overnight. Laboratories across Kanto buzzed with data streams as entries poured in for Bulbasaur's vine lashes, Charmander's ember breaths, and Squirtle's watery shields, 151 species catalogued, each a step toward understanding the profound mysteries linking Pokémon to the fabric of existence itself. Oak's invention didn't just document, it invited the world to see Pokémon not as tools or beasts, but as partners in an unfolding saga. From the humble doorstep of that same Pallet Town lab stepped a boy named Red, his cap pulled low over determined eyes, backpack slung over one shoulder. Barely 10 years old, yet carrying the weight of destiny, Red had dreamed of this moment since he could toddle after wild Rattata in the tall grass. Professor Oak, recognizing the spark in his quiet resolve, handed him the Pokédex and a choice of starters: Venusaur's lineage, Charizard's flames, or Blastoise's torrents, each a living emblem of Kanto's elemental balance. Red's journey began on Route 1, where Pidgey fluttered in the breeze and Spearow dive-bombed from oaks heavy with fruit, but it would soon etch his name into legend. He traversed the region like a shadow weaving through light, Viridian's gym shrouded in secrecy, Pewter's rocky trials under Brock's steadfast gaze, Cerulean's cascading falls where Misty's Starmie spun hypnotic waves. Red claimed badges one by one: Cascade, Thunder, Rainbow, Soul, Marsh, Volcano, Earth and Boulder. Each victory a testament to strategy over brute force, friendship over domination. He delved into Mount Moon's crystalline caverns, where Zubats echoed like whispers from the underworld, and navigated the SS Anne's salty decks amid rival trainers' taunts. Yet beneath the thrill of the league loomed a darker current, one that Red alone seemed poised to confront. From the underbelly of this budding era slithered Team Rocket, a syndicate cloaked in black uniforms, emblazoned with crimson R's. Their ambitions as cold as the Silphcummy Tower they infiltrated. Led by the enigmatic Giovanni, they sought not glory in battles, but profit in chains, industrializing Pokémon into engines of commerce. In the depths of Mount Moon, they excavated moonstones for black market trade. At the power plant, they siphoned electricity with captured Zapdos's thunder, leaving Kanto's lights flickering in peril. Red stormed their hideouts, from the labyrinthine rocket hideout beneath the Celadon Game Corner, where slots chimed like false promises, to the Mafia Tower in Saffron, liberating the Sylph scope that revealed the ghostly truth of Haunter's grins. Team Rocket dreamed of Pokémon as labour, Diglett burrowing mines, Mook processing toxins into fuels, their fossil revivals twisted into weapons. But Red dismantled their operations cell by cell, his Pikachu's thunderbolts cracking the foundation of their empire. Even as Red ascended to Indigo Plateau, claiming victory over the Elite Four, Lorelei's icy glares, Bruno's iron fists, Agatha's spectral chills, Lance's draconic roars, and ultimately Giovanni himself in a clash of Viridian's gym, shadows lingered on Cinnabar Island. There, amid the volcanic fumes and crashing waves, a mansion burned with forbidden secrets. Once a research haven funded by shadowy patrons, its labs birthed horrors from cloned cells, the genetic spiral of Mew, and the phantom parent discovered in Guyana's jungles decades prior, spliced and amplified into something godlike. Scientists, driven by hubris, poured over vats where psychic energies crackled like summer storms. Engineering Mewtwo, a being of unparalleled power, its lavender skin pulsing with rage, born of artificial birth. Confined in the mansion's depths, Mewtwo stirred under the watch of Mr. Fuji, a gentle soul haunted by the ethics of creation. Tubes hummed with life support elixirs, monitors charting brainwaves that dwarfed human limits. When the flames consumed the building, sparked by a desperate experiment gone awry, Mewtwo broke free, its psychic roar shattering glass and stone alike. It fled into the night, a harbinger of what unchecked ambition could unleash. Its existence a rift between nature's design and humanity's overreach. Red, ever the horizon chaser, would glimpse these echoes in post-victory whispers, but the true reckoning simmered unseen. Red's triumph crowned him champion, his statue rising on the plateau as Kanto entered its modern awakening. An era where Pokédex data flowed like rivers, trainers roamed freer than ever, and the League's lights burned eternal. Yet Team Rocket's tendrils retracted, not severed, and Mewtwo's silhouette haunted the stars. What fate awaited Giovanni in the wake of his defeat, as his empire crumbled from within? That unravelling awaits in Chapter 9, The Fall of Giovanni. Red's path through Kanto's shadowed underbelly leads straight to the gleaming towers of Sylph Company in Saffron City, where the air hums with the low buzz of corporate ambition turned sinister. This sprawling headquarters, once a beacon of technological innovation, crafting Pokeballs and scopes to pierce ghostly illusions, now stands as the prize in Team Rocket's audacious bid for dominance. Grunts in black uniforms swarm the halls, their R emblems glinting under fluorescent lights as they seize control floor by floor, holding executives hostage and commandeering labs to fuel a weaponized empire that could reshape global trade in Pokémon tech. You can almost feel the tension coiling in those sterile corridors. Elevators jammed, warp panels twisting space into treacherous mazes. Red slips in through a side vent, his team battle-hardened from gyms like Brock's rocky enclosures and Misty's cascading pools, Pikachu's cheeks sparking with quiet resolve. One by one, he dismantles the invasion, blasting Persian claws with water jets from Blastoise, outmaneuvering Raticate's swarms with Venusaur's vines snaking through vents. The scientists whisper gratitude as he's freed them, handing over prototypes like the coveted Master Ball, its iridescent surface promising capture without fail. But deeper in, the stakes skyrocket. Team Rocket's not just looting, they're plotting a monopoly that would choke supply lines from Celadon to Cinnabar, turning every Poké-Center and trainer's belt into their leverage. At the pinnacle, on the 11th floor, overlooking Saffron's neon sprawl, Giovanni awaits, his Persian at his side like a shadow made flesh. The man exudes calculated menace, silk suit impeccable amid the chaos, voice smooth as he monologues about power's true nature, not in badges or leagues, but in the strings pulled from boardrooms. Red's Pokémon clash in a symphony of roars and blasts. Nidoking's horns gouge the carpet. Rhyhorn charges like a freight train, but Red's squad prevails, chipping away at the boss's composure. As Giovanni slinks away, defeated yet unbowed, a chilling truth drops. He's the 8th gym leader, Viridian's elusive Earthmaster, the one whose gym sat empty like a taunt until now. Word spreads like wildfire through Kanto's trainer networks. The criminal overlord wears the League's own badge. Red presses on, collecting the final stamps. Erika's fragrant dojo, Koga's poison-veiled lair, Sabrina's psychic distortions that bend reality itself. Viridian Gym finally opens its doors, weeds creeping over the threshold, the air thick with earth and dust. Giovanni's back, throne-like in his arena, earth trembling under his command as he unleashes his full arsenal. Kangaskhan's maternal fury, Tauros stampeding in herds, Nidoqueen poisoning the ground. But Red's precision triumphs again. Earthquake quakes silenced by strategic counters, leaving Giovanni humbled once more. This double defeat fractures Team Rocket at its core. Grunts scatter from their hideouts. The abandoned Pokémon Tower in Lavender, where they desecrated graves for Cubone masks, the Cerulean Cave's watery depths, even the power plant throbbing with electric theft. Without their leader's iron grip, the organization crumbles, cells dissolving into whispers and disbanded squads. Giovanni vanishes into shadows, his gym abandoned. Viridian's Earth badge the last echo of his reign. Kanto exhales, markets stabilize, Sylph rebuilds stronger. But the scars linger in every R-shaped graffiti scrubbed from walls. Red badges complete, storms the Indigo Plateau. The Elite Four await in their fortresses, Lorelei's icy blasts that frost the air. Bruno's raw muscle clashes echoing like thunder. Agatha's ghosts phasing through defences. Lance's dragons soaring on jet streams of fire. Champion green or blue, rival turned pinnacle, tests him in the Hall of Fame's glow. Victory seals it, red, the silent prodigy, etched into history. Yet fame chafes. He slips away from Pallet Town's cheers, Mum's worried glances, Oak's proud nods. High above Kanto's northern vale, Mount Silver beckons, a jagged monolith piercing storm clouds, winds howling through silvered crags where only the strongest dare tread. Red ascends alone, Pokémon at his side, vanishing into isolation's embrace. No more crowds, and no parades, just the grind of eternal training, snow crunching underfoot, avalanches thundering nearby. Legends murmur he's still there, a myth made flesh, waiting for one worthy to summit and challenge the pinnacle. But as Kanto finds fragile peace, storm clouds gather elsewhere, where primal forces of sea and land threaten to drown or bury an entire region in cataclysm. That tale unfolds in Chapter 10. The Hoenn climate crisis, where rival factions awaken gods of flood and quake. Don't drift off just yet. As Giovanni's shadow receded from Kanto's skyline, with Red standing victorious amid the ruins of Sylph Company, the world didn't pause for breath. Far across the ocean, in the volcanic archipelago of Hoenn, two rival factions were already carving their marks into the earth itself, had their ambitions swelling like storm clouds on the horizon. Team Aqua, clad in sleek blue wetsuits that gleamed like the sea's surface, dreamed of a planet drowned in endless ocean. Their leader, Archie, a burly man with salt-crusted hair and eyes burning with the fury of a tidal wave, believed humanity had choked the waters too long. Factories belching smoke, cities sprawling over coral reefs. He saw it all as an insult to the deep. His followers prowled the harbours of Slateport and Dewford, smuggling submersibles and sabotaging dams, whispering of a blue utopia, where land would shrink to mere specks amid infinite waves. But they weren't alone in their madness. From the scorched peaks of Mount Chimney, Team Magma emerged, their red hoods fluttering like flames against the ashen sky. Maxi, their spectacled visionary, preached the gospel of expansion. Continents starved, he argued, squeezed by rising seas and reckless expansion. With his cadre of geologists turned zealots, they tunneled into meteor falls and rigged explosives beneath jagged pass, plotting to ignite the land's fury and birth vast new frontiers of soil and stone. These weren't petty thieves or corporate raiders like Giovanni. Aqua and Magma moved in tandem, a twisted symbiosis born of opposite obsessions. While Aqua raided underwater grottos for ancient relics, Magma scaled sheer cliffs for forbidden tomes. They both hungered for the same prizes, the blue orb and the red orb, twin artifacts pulsing with primordial power, hidden in Hoenn's deepest sanctum since time immemorial. The heist unfolded under a blood moon over Mount Pyre. Aqua's divers slipped into the island cave off the eastern shore, their lights cutting through abyssal darkness to claim the blue orb, a sapphire sphere that hummed with the chill of forgotten depths. Hours later, Magma's climbers breached the depths of Mount Chimney's core, wresting the red orb from lava-veined altars, its crimson glow searing like the heart of a volcano. In their hands, these orbs weren't mere jewels, they were keys to gods. Awakening came swift and cataclysmic. Archie clutched the blue orb aboard his submarine fortress, and the seas answered. From the ocean's trench, Kyogre rose, its massive fins slicing waves into tsunamis, body engulfed in a primal reversion. Blue plates armoured its form, primal energy surging as it bellowed, summoning gales that uprooted palms and flooded Lily Cove's boulevards. Rain fell in sheets, a relentless, turning rivers into roiling beasts that swallowed bridges whole. Maxie, high on Magma's airship, gripped the red orb, and the earth quaked in response. Groudon erupted from the planet's mantle beneath Terra Cave, primal flames licking its drought-bringing hide, red crystals jutting like spines of forgotten mountains. Sunshine blazed merciless, evaporating lakes in Morville, cracking the soil of Route 104 into chasms that swallowed Swablu mid-flight. Hoenn fractured, verdant roots withered or drowned in alternating fury. Rustborough's gym crumbled under landslides. Laverage's hot springs boiled away to dust. But the true heart of the storm pulsed in Sootopolis City, perched like a crown on crystalline cliffs, guarding the Cave of Origin. Here legends whispered. The planet's Alpha and Omega slumbered in balance. Now, primal titans converged, Kyogre's deluge clashing against Groudon's blaze in a maelstrom that split the sky. Sootopolis became ground zero for global collapse. Walls of water crashed against sheer walls, only to hiss into steam under merciless sun. The city's arena, once a haven for trainers, filled with knee-deep brine 1 hour, then baked to cracked mud the next. Civilians huddled in the Pokémon Center, lights flickering as earthquakes rattled foundations. News rippled worldwide. Kanto's ports flooded, Johto's lakes overflowed. Even distant Sinnoh felt the tremors. Satellites caught glimpses, swirling vortices over Hoenn, weather patterns inverting, a crisis threatening to rewrite maps forever. Into this chaos stepped a young trainer from Little Root Town, barely a teenager, or with a Torchic at their side and a resolve forged in badges from Roxanne's rocks to Juan's cascades. They had crossed Hoenn's breadth, thwarting Aqua's Lily Cove takeover and Magma's space station ploy, collecting the orbs in a desperate bid to quell the frenzy. But the Titans wouldn't yield. Kyogre and Groudon locked in eternal war above Sootopolis, their roars shaking the Cave of Origin's mouth. The trainer descended into the cave's glowing maw, walls veined with luminous stone that whispered of creation's dawn. Deeper still, past dripping stalactites and echoing drips, they found the chamber where balance hung by a thread. With Aqua and Magma's leaders humbled outside, Archie adrift in regret, Maxie blinded by his hubris, the trainer channeled the orb's fading light, but true salvation demanded more. High above, the ozone split. Rayquaza, a sky-high serpent of legend, coiled from the stratosphere, drawn by the imbalance threatening its domain. Emerald scales shimmering against thunderheads, it dove, mega-evolving in a blaze of draconic might. Jaws clamping, the green orb's essence, Rayquaza pierced the storm, halting the Titans with a roar that echoed to the stars. Kyogre sank to slumbering depths. Groudon burrowed into earth and rest, and Hoenn exhaled. The skies cleared, rain tapering to mist, sun softening to warmth. Sootopolis emerged scarred but standing, its people emerging to cheers as the trainer ascended from the cave, legend etched in their eyes. This child, unnamed in annals but eternal in tale, had bridged primal rage with sky's judgment, preserving a world teetering on erasure. Yet echoes lingered in Hoenn's nights, strange lights streaking the heavens, he portending disruptions yet to unfold. Whispers of a Delta episode, where meteors pierce the veil and space itself bends. If you're drifting off with us tonight, sweet dreams until Chapter 11, the Delta episode. Before we dive deeper into this incredible journey, I'm curious, where in the world are you watching this from? Drop a comment below and let our global community know. And if you're finding this as mind-blowing as I am, hit that like button to help more people discover this story. As the primal titans, Kyogre and Groudon, finally subside under Rayquaza's watchful gaze, their furious waves and scorching earth leave Hoenn's skies scarred with lingering storms. But peace proves fleeting. High above the clouds, astronomers detect an anomaly hurtling through the void. A colossal meteor, larger than any recorded in human history, are locked on a collision course with the planet itself. This isn't just rock and ice. Embedded deep within its core pulses something alive, something alien, a virus unlike anything terrestrial biology has ever known. It spreads through the atmosphere like invisible tendrils, mutating airborne particles, twisting clouds into unnatural formations. Reports flood in from across the region, trainers spotting eerie green auroras, Pokémon behaving erratically, their eyes glazing over with an otherworldly hunger. The meteor's descent accelerates, promising cataclysm. Oceans boiled, continents fractured, life as Hoenn knows it erased in a single, blazing impact. In the shadowed meteorites of Meteor Falls, the Draconids stir from their ancient vigil. These reclusive guardians are descendants of sky worshippers who etched their lore into cavern walls millennia ago, have awaited this moment. Their leader, Zinnia, emerges cloaked in tribal garb, adorned with Rayquaza motifs, her voice carrying the weight of forgotten epochs. She gathers the player at the heart of their sanctuary, where bioluminescent fungi illuminate murals depicting a dragon of pure sky coiling through the stars. Zinnia speaks of the first mega-evolution, not as a modern trainer's trick with stones and bonds, but as a primal pact born of desperation. Long before badges or leagues, when a similar meteor scarred the heavens, Rayquaza descended from the ozone layer. No keystone, no mega bracelet, just raw instinct and cosmic fury. The dragon absorbed the meteor's debris, its body surging with ethereal energy, scales shimmering as it transcended its form. Wings expanded to eclipse the sun, jaws unhinged to swallow the void. In that instant, Mega Rayquaza was born, shattering the intruder into harmless fragments and seeding the skies with meteorites that birthed new life, Bagan lineages, perhaps even the Draconids themselves. The murals pulse with depicted chaos, skies rent open, the dragon's roar echoing like thunder across dimensions. Zinnia traces her fingers over faded glyphs, revealing how this event etched mega-evolution into Rayquaza's essence alone. No other Pokémon bears this innate power. It's the Sky King's sole inheritance, a safeguard against celestial invaders. She hands over the meteorite, its surface warm, humming with residual power, urging the trainer to awaken the legend once more. But doubt creeps in. Hoenn's champion, Stephen Stone, rallies scientists at the Devon Corporation, telescopes trained on the plummeting doom. Data streams confirm the virus's potency. It rewires DNA on contact, birthing deformed mutants in labs. Lysandra's shadow from Kalos lingers in whispers, but here the threat is purer, extraterrestrial. The player races across Hoenn's remade landscape, surfing turbulent seas still roiling from primal aftermath, scaling sky pillars' mist-shrouded heights where winds howl like vengeful spirits. At the pillar's apex, the air crackles. Rayquaza coils from the ether, emerald body undulating against the darkening sky. The meteorite resonates, and in a blaze of delta stream energy, the Dragon Mega evolves without aid, horns fusing into a draconic crown, tail elongating into a whip of pure plasma. It launches skyward, a streak of green fire piercing the clouds. The collision is apocalyptic. High in the stratosphere, where oxygen thins and stars pierce the blue veil, Rayquaza slams into the meteor, cracks spiderweb across its surface, chunks plummeting like fiery rain, sizzling into the ocean far below. From the shattered heart emerges Deoxys, a crystalline entity, form-shifting, its four possible states flickering like a nightmare, given flesh. Core pulsing red, tentacles lashing, it adapts instantly. Attack form spears energy blasts, Defense Form shrugs off Rayquaza's Delta Stream hyper beams. The battle rages unseen by ground dwellers, shockwaves rippling auroras across the globe. Deoxys probes defenses, scanning the planet's life force. But Rayquaza's supremacy endures. The Sky King shreds the alien's regeneration, forcing it into retreat through a rift in reality, a tear in the fabric of space itself. Zinnia watches from afar, her lore vindicated. But as the dust clears, she unveils the deepest truth. This world, our Pokémon realm, is but one thread in an infinite tapestry. The meteor hailed from beyond, not just space but parallel dimensions, multiverses where histories diverge. Hoenn's salvation echoes across them. Rayquaza's roar, a beacon warding off incursions. Space-time rifts from Hisui, paradoxes from Paldea, Eternatus's fall in Galar, they all converge here, proving existence as a vast interconnected web. One meteor's defeat hints at countless others lurking in the cosmic dark. Deoxys vanishes into the upper atmosphere's void, its form dissolving into starlight, but the virus lingers faintly, a reminder of vulnerabilities. Trainers collect meteor shards, forging new tools, while draconids retreat to their falls, vigilant. Hoenn breathes, remade yet again, skies clear but forever watchful. Yet whispers from the north grow louder, tales of a region reborn from Kanto's shadow, where legends stir and a new generation claims the throne. That story unfolds in Chapter 12, the Johto Renaissance. As the skies over Hoenn cleared from Rayquaza's desperate intervention, and the draconids whispered of mega-evolution's ancient safeguards against cosmic threats, the world turned its gaze elsewhere. 3 years had passed since Red toppled Giovanni and scattered Team Rocket's remnants like ash in the wind. Johto, the rugged neighbour to Kanto's gleaming spires, had enjoyed a fragile peace, its misty mountains and goldenrod cities buzzing with everyday trainers, chasing badges and dreams. But beneath that calm, embers glowed. A new executive council emerged from the shadows, handpicked from Rocket's surviving loyalists. They weren't the brash thugs of old. These were calculated minds, cloaked in tailored suits, plotting from hidden bases in the Mahogany Mountains. Their leader, the silver-haired archer, with his piercing eyes and unyielding smirk, rallied them around a singular obsession: revival. No more sloppy infiltrations like Sylph Company. This time, they'd seize the airwaves, control the narrative, and summon their lost king. They whispered of untapped potentials in Johto's legends, beasts long thought extinct, forces that could bend the region to their will. The Council's first moves were surgical, smuggling tech into the Lake of Rage, where a red Gyarados thrashed in unnatural fury, a sign of their experiments gone wild. You can almost feel the chill wind whipping through Ecruteak City's ancient dance theatre, where shamans once communed with spirits. Then came the burned tower, that skeletal ruin in the city's heart, charred black from a fire centuries old, stood as Johto's greatest enigma. Legends spoke of 3 sacred beasts: Raikou, the thunderclap prowler; Entei, the volcanic guardian; Suihun, the north wind's purifying breath, trapped in eternal slumber after the blaze claimed their lives. Mortals had tried to harness their power, only to unleash tragedy. The tower's crumbling floors echoed with ghosts, shadows flickering in the perpetual dusk, and drawing curious trainers like moths to a flame. One fateful night, as thunder rumbled and flames inexplicably reignited the ruins, Ho-Oh descended. The rainbow-winged phoenix, Johto's divine harbinger of rebirth, circled the inferno with wings spanning the sky, trailing prismatic light that painted the town in ethereal hues. From the ashes, lightning cracked, magma surged, and crystalline gales howled, the legendary beasts, reborn, roaring back to life. Raikou's electric mane sparked across the rooftops. Entei's molten fur scorched the earth. Suihun's aurora trail cut through the smoke like a blade of purity. Why now? Was it a warning, a blessing, or something darker stirred by Rocket's meddling? The beasts vanished into the wilds, roaming Johto's plains and peaks, elusive phantoms that trainers chased in vain. Their howls a constant reminder that old powers never truly die. Word spread like wildfire, pulling a new hero into the fray. In New Bark Town, under the watchful eye of Professor Elm, a young trainer, Ethan, or perhaps Lyra depending on the tales, stepped forth with a fresh Chikorita, Totodile, or Cyndaquil at their side. Badges came swiftly. Faulkner's windswept gym in Violet City, Bugsy's canopy traps in Azalea, Whitney's tearful Miltank standoff in Goldenrod. But Rocket was always one step ahead, grunts swarming the Slowpoke well, severing tails for profit, their black eye emblazoned bolder than ever. The climax brewed in Goldenrod's gleaming radio tower, that towering antenna piercing Johto's skyline, broadcasting league updates, weather reports, and lullabies across the airwaves. Rocket's elite stormed it under cover of night, a lasers slicing through security, executives masquerading as staff with flawless accents. Archer's voice boomed from every speaker in the region, a desperate siren call. "Giovanni, our leader, wherever you hide, return. Johto bends to us. The beasts roam free. Claim your throne." Static crackled with urgency, the signal hijacked, looping that plea amid gunfire, echoes, and Pokémon cries. The city froze, radios blaring the criminal empire's resurrection, trainers scrambling as elevators jammed and floors locked down. Our protagonist infiltrated the chaos. Badge case heavy, Pokémon battle-worn but fierce. Floors upon floors of traps, electrode bombs rolling like thunder, Houndoom packs snarling in vents, the Council's aces waiting with scathing pride. Archer's final stand was venomous, his Houndoom's flames licking the control room walls. But defeat cracked their facade, rockets scattered again, their broadcast silenced, Giovanni's shadow unclaimed. Yet the victory felt incomplete. Whispers pulled westward, across the border into Kanto, where gyms awaited, Elite Four legends, Viridian's throne vacant since Giovanni's flight. Ethan, or Lyra, crossed those familiar paths, battling Lieutenant Surge's electric barrage in Vermilion, Erica's petal storms in Celadon, Koga's poison mists in Fuchsia. Blue, the former rival turned champion, loomed in the league's spires. But the true summit called Mount Silver's snow-lashed peaks, where a silent figure trained in isolation. Johto's renaissance had reignited old fires, beasts reborn, empires clawing back, leading inexorably to the showdown that would etch a new champion into eternity. Next in Chapter 13, the battle at Mount Silver, discover who awaits in the storm-shrouded heights, and how one trainer's journey collides with the pinnacle of Pokémon legend. What hangs in the balance will redefine everything you've heard so far. With Team Rocket's remnants scattered once more, and the legendary beasts restored to their watchful vigil under Ho-Oh's radiant wings, the young trainer from New Bark Town pressed onward, their path now turning westward toward the shadowed spires of Kanto. Badges gleamed in their case, 8 from Johto's trials, but whispers from the Pokémon League urged them further, across the sea, through Viridian's gates, reclaiming the old gyms one by one. Lance, the Dragon Master himself, had fallen in the Indigo Plateau's heights, yet victory felt incomplete, a hollow echo amid the cheers. The true pinnacle awaited, shrouded in myth. Mount Silver, or the world's loftiest peak, where blizzards howled eternally and only the strongest could breathe the thin icy air. That mountain rose like a colossal fang piercing the heavens, its slopes cloaked in perpetual frost, jagged cliffs defying all but the most determined climbers. Legend spoke of it as a sanctuary for the elite, a place where Pokémon grew wilder, fiercer, tempered by nature's unrelenting fury. Hailstones the size of Pokeballs pelted the ascent, winds carving faces into the rock, and deep crevasses yawned like the maws of slumbering giants. Few had ever summited, fewer returned with tales worth telling. But this trainer, battle-hardened from the burned tower's flames to the Elite Four's gauntlet, forged ahead, their team scarred yet unbreakable. Typhlosion's embers flickering against the cold, fair alligators roar cutting through the gale. At the summit, where the world fell away into endless white expanses, a lone figure stood silhouetted against the storm. Cloaked in a familiar red vest, cap pulled low, he said nothing. No greeting, no challenge, just the quiet release of a Pokeball. This was Red, the silent legend of Kanto, the boy who toppled Giovanni's empire 3 years prior, who claimed the champion's throne atop the Indigo League and then vanished into seclusion. Sightings were rare, rumors painted him as a ghost, training in isolation to surpass even the gods of Pokémon kind. His Pikachu, scarred from cerulean caves' depths and the power plant's shadows, sparked with untamed electricity at his side. No words passed between them, only the weight of legacies colliding. The first champion, now a mythic hermit, facing the air from Johto's rebirth. The clash began without fanfare, snow swirling into a vortex as commands flew sharp and silent on Red's part. Snorlax lumbered forth first, its seismic snores shaking the peak, blocking paths with sheer mass, while Hyper Beam carved glowing scars into the ice. The Johto trainer countered with their ace, Typhlosion, erupting in a blaze that melted drifts into steaming rivers, claws raking through the behemoth's hide. Venusaur followed, petals unfurling like a toxic canopy, sleep powder drifting on the wind to lull foes into vulnerability, vines lashing with whip-crack precision. But the challenger adapted, Meganium's fragrant petals weaving a healing aroma amid the chaos, petals blooming defiant against the poison haze. Lapras surfaced from a glacial crevasse, its melodic cry harmonizing with the storm, Ice Beam freezing the battlefield into a treacherous rink. The air crackled as the Johto trainer's Kingdra surged upward, Dragon Breath coiling like azure lightning, shattering the ice prison and driving the Leviathan back. Red's eyes narrowed beneath his cap. Blastoise next, cannons primed, hydro pump blasting torrents that turned the summit into a frozen deluge. Feraligatr met it head-on, jaws clamping in a crunch that echoed like thunder, water warring with water until steam veiled the combatants. Then came the aerial assault. Pidgeot soared on hurricane gales, talons gleaming, while Aerodactyl fossilized fury from the cliffs above, wings beating sonic booms that fissured the stone. The challenger's Crobat darted like a shadow, Confuse-Ray disorienting the ancient pterodactyl mid-dive, wings slicing through the gale. Espeon and Alakazam locked in psychic tempests, spoons bending reality. Telekinetic blasts hurling boulders skyward, only to crash down in cataclysmic booms. Raiden charged, horn glowing with earthquake force, cracking the peak itself. Rhyperia's successor from Johto, Donphan, rolled into a spinning juggernaut, horns interlocking in a grind of earth and steel. The crescendo built as Red unleashed his final guardians. Snorlax revived for a second rampage, Venusaur's solar beam piercing the clouds like judgment from above. But the Johto trainer's resolve burned brightest. Typhlosion, flames roaring into an inferno, clashed with Charizard's own blaze in a fireball cataclysm that lit the night. Pikachu zipped through the fray, Volt Tackle a yellow thunderbolt, met by Jolteon's pinpoint pin missile storm. Exhaustion clawed at both sides. Pokémon collapsing into snowdrifts, breaths heaving in the rarefied air. In the end, it was the challenger's unyielding spirit that tipped the scales. A final sacred fire from Ho-Oh's blessed Typhlosion engulfed Red's last stand, Pikachu crumpling with a defiant spark. Red nodded once, a ghost of a smile under the cap. Recalling his team without a word, he turned, vanishing into the blizzard as if he'd never been, leaving the summit conquered. The Johto trainer stood alone atop the world, badges and league triumphs now etched eternal. Not just a victor, but the bridge between eras. This duel crowned the close of Kanto and Johto's intertwined saga. Two champions embodying generations at odds yet united in pursuit of mastery. Red, the pioneer who shattered Rocket's grip and ignited the Pokédex revolution, passed his mantle implicitly, and his silence louder than any proclamation. The young trainer descended not as an upstart but as the new guardian, their feats rippling through both regions. The Indigo League, long the heart of this alliance, stabilized under shared glory. Kanto's veterans, nodding approval from Pallet Town to Saffron City. Johto's fires kindled anew from Ecruteak to Blackthorn. Borders blurred further, trade routes bustling with Pokémon exchanges, gym leaders collaborating across the old divide. Professor Elm's radio broadcasts hailed the event as a renaissance solidified, Oak's own Pokédex data syncing with Newbark's archives. No longer rivals in shadow, Kanto and Johto forged a bulwark against future threats, their champions' clash etching the first era's finale into legend. Peace held, but the world stirred elsewhere, rifts in time whispering from distant peaks. Yet even as the snow settled on Mount Silver's legacy, far-off distortions in Sinnoh began to warp the fabric of reality itself, pulling ancient forces into the present. What cataclysmic unraveling awaits in the Sinnoh distortion? As the dust settles on Mount Silver's treacherous summit, and the clash of champions fades into legend, the Pokémon world breathes a fragile peace. Yet whispers of unrest stir in the distant north, where snow-capped peaks pierce endless skies over Sinnoh, a land carved from ancient ice and shimmering lakes that hold the very essence of willpower, knowledge, and emotion. You can almost feel the chill wind whipping through Twin Leaf Town, where a young trainer sets out on what seems like an ordinary badge quest. But beneath the surface of this serene region pulses a far darker ambition. Team Galactic, cloaked in sleek, metallic uniforms, emblazoned with a crimson G, has been plotting in the shadows of their towering headquarters atop Mount Coronet. Led by the enigmatic Cyrus, a man whose emotionless gaze betrays a profound disdain for the chaos of existence, they envision nothing less than the annihilation of the universe itself. Cyrus believes the human spirit, those messy threads of joy, sorrow, rage, and love, taint perfection. Emotions breed conflict, he argues, splintering reality into discord. His solution? Erase it all. Shatter the fabric of space and time to birth a flawless new world, sterile and orderly, devoid of spirit. No more rivalries between trainers, no more rampaging legendaries born of primal fury, just cold, unfeeling harmony. To achieve this godlike reset, he needs the power of creation's architects, Dialga, the Lord of Time, and Palkia, the Sovereign of Space. But summoning them requires keys locked away in Sinnoh's sacred lakes. First falls Lake Acuity, high in the snowy wilds near Snowpoint City, where icy waters mirror the auroras dancing overhead. Uxie, the being of knowledge, glides through its depths like a golden spectre, its yellow gemstone eyes holding the wisdom of eons. Team Galactic's commander Mars strikes here, her Purugly slashing through the frozen veil as grunts deploy bizarre machines that pulse with red energy. Uxie fights valiantly, unleashing psychic tempests that hurl assailants into the drifts. But the trap closes. Drained of its essence, the Guardian is captured, its knowledge siphoned into a crystalline spearhead artifact. The lake falls eerily silent, its waters dimming as if memory itself has been stolen. Word spreads like frost across the region, drawing you, the trainer, deeper into the fray. Valor Lake erupts next, nestled amid Acuity's fiery counterpart in the Heartcrag Mountains. Azelf, embodiment of willpower, rises in defiance, its blue form crackling with unyielding force. Commander Jupiter leads the raid, her Toxicroak belching venomous clouds, while energy nets ensnare the air. Azelf shatters boulders with sheer resolve, forcing grunts to flee into the lava flows. But Jupiter's precision prevails. The Lake Guardian's willpower fuels another spearhead, leaving the crimson waters turbulent, as if the land itself strains against the theft. Not even the misty shores of Lake Verity escape. Mesprit, the being of emotion, he haunts its fog-shrouded surface near Sangem Town, a pink wisp, evoking laughter and tears in equal measure. Saturn's Bronzong hums with metallic menace, syncing with galactic drones to corner the elusive spirit. Mesprit darts like a heartbeat, stirring gales of raw feeling that leave grunts weeping or raging uncontrollably. Yet the commander claims victory, extracting emotion's volatile core into the final spearhead. Twinleaf's gentle ripples turn brooding, mirroring the growing dread across Sinnoh. With the lake trio subdued, their energies converged into the ominous red chain. Cyrus ascends Spear Pillar, the shattered crown of Mount Coronet where heaven and earth collide. Winds howl through colossal stone pillars etched with runes older than Hisui's clans, and distortion ripples the air like heat haze over forgotten ruins. And you arrive amid the storm, badges gleaming, Pokémon at your side, only to witness the commander activate his creations. The spearheads glow crimson, binding Dialga and Palkia in spectral chains. Time warps in jagged loops, space folds into impossible angles. The steel behemoth Dialga roars, platinum scales grinding as clocks unwind around it. Palkia distends reality, its pearl iridescent maw, birthing voids that swallow stars. Cyrus stands unmoved, his voice a monotone blade cutting through the chaos. This fractured moment, he declares, heralds the new universe. Dialga's roar reverses rivers flowing uphill. Palkia's claws rend the horizon, pulling Celestic Town's ruins into the sky. Snowpoint's dome cracks, Veilstone's galactic dome trembles. Reality teeters on annihilation, the pillars crumbling as the fabric of existence unravels thread by thread. Your Pokémon clash against the Titans, buying precious seconds, but the end looms until a tear splits the void. From the abyss erupts Giratina, the renegade Pokémon, exiled ruler of the distortion world. Its ghostly black wings blot the stars, red eyes blazing with otherworldly fury. No mere intervener, Giratina embodies antimatter, the shadow to Dialga and Palkia's light. It senses the imbalance Cyrus has wrought, the peril to creation's delicate triad. With a shriek that warps sound itself, Giratina lunges, its shadow force dragging the chained legends and Cyrus himself through a pulsating rift. The spear pillar stabilizes in a rush of inverted gravity, pillars righting themselves as the distortion fades. But Cyrus vanishes into the twisted non-realm, a chaotic labyrinth where gravity inverts, platforms float in defiance of logic, and paths loop eternally. The distortion world defies all rules. Walls become floors, time echoes backward, shadows whisper forgotten sins. You pursue through the tear, navigating levitating crystals and gravitational maelstroms, confronting twisted reflections of galactic grunts. Giratina circles like a spectre of judgment, its altered form, origin forme in some retellings. Commanding the warped domain, deep within, Cyrus communes with the renegade, demanding its power for his emotionless paradise. Yet Giratina rebels, shattering the red chain in a cataclysm of dark energy. Dialga and Palkia break free, their roars harmonizing to mend the fractures. Cyrus, unyielding, retreats into exile, his dream of perfection crushed by the very chaos he despised. But the Lake Guardians, freed at last, restore Sinnoh's balance, Uxie mending minds, Mesprit soothing hearts, Azelf reigniting wills. Spear Pillar stands sentinel once more, a testament to forces beyond mortal control. Sinnoh heals under aurora-lit skies, its people none the wiser to how close oblivion came. You emerge a hero, the veil between worlds thinner, echoes of distortion lingering in quiet moments. But as stability returns to these northern wilds, across vast oceans in the gleaming skyscrapers of Unova, a philosophy of separation brews among masked zealots, promising liberation through lies that could shatter societies forever. That upheaval awaits in Chapter 15, the Unova liberation. As the echoes of Team Galactic's cataclysmic ambitions faded from Sinnoh's shattered skies, and the Lake Guardians, Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf were restored to their ethereal lakes, the world's fragile balance shifted eastward across vast oceans to the gleaming metropolis of Unova. Here, in a land of towering skyscrapers, piercing steel-grey clouds, and rolling plains dotted with ancient ruins, whispering of forgotten kings, a radical philosophy took root, one that dared to question the very soul of every trainer's bond. Team Plasma emerged from the shadows of Nimbasa City's neon glow and the solemn spires of Dragon Spiral Tower, their white cloaks billowing like banners of purity against the windswept coasts. At their helm stood Hoenn, a young man with emerald eyes that seemed to pierce the veil between human and Pokémon, crowned as their puppet king by forces unseen. He proclaimed, with a voice both haunting and fervent, that he could hear the true voices of Pokémon, their joys, their angers, their unspoken pleas for freedom. In hushed gatherings beneath Castelia City's honeycomb towers, Hoenn would kneel beside wild Pokémon, coaxing confessions from a Lillipup's whimpers or a Sigilif's ethereal hum, revealing dreams crushed under the weight of Pokeballs. This revelation ignited a firestorm across Unova. Was capturing Pokémon an act of liberation? A partnership that elevated wild creatures from survival's brutal grind into realms of glory, badges, and championships? Or was it enslavement, cold steel spheres stripping away autonomy, forcing battles not of choice, but command? Trainers in Accumula Town paused mid-battle, Pokeballs hovering in gloved hands, as Plasma Sages paraded, liberated. Pokémon paraded like martyrs, and only to vanish them into hidden vans under the cover of night. In Opelucid City, elders recounted legends of the twin heroes, warrior and king, who once wielded truth and ideals incarnate, dragons that judged humanity's worth. Hoenn embodied that ancient schism, his ideals painting trainers as tyrants, their gyms as colosseums of suffering. You could almost feel the tension in the air, thick as fog rolling off Route 4's desert sands, where Ardino herds scattered at the sight of a tossed ball, echoing Hoenn's cry. Pokémon deserve to fly free, unburdened by our ambitions. Yet beneath Hoenn's earnest gaze lurked a darker architect, Ghetsis Harmonia Gropius, the Plasma King's shadowed regent, concealed his crimson eye behind a sweeping cape, his voice a venomous baritone that slithered through hidden layers in the tubular bowels of the Pokémon World Tournament. While Hoenn preached harmony, Ghetsis schemed dominion, his true motive unfurled like a venomous bloom in the heart of their floating fortress, the Plasma Frigate, slicing through abyssal storms, disarm all trainers, seize every Pokémon, and forge an empire where only he wielded power. Picture the sages' faces paling as Ghetsis discarded the facade, his staff crackling with malevolent energy. "Fools he'd sneer, Hoenn's gift is our tool. Let the masses surrender their partners, and Unova bends to me alone." Disarmament rallies swelled in Driftvale's caverns, where miners unearthed fossils amid chants of release, but Ghetsis hoarded the liberated legions in cryogenic vaults, a private army primed for conquest. But the philosophy fractured under this betrayal's weight. In Nacrene City's museum, relics of the original dragons stirred, shards pulsing with latent fury as trainers like you, the rising hero from Nuvema Town, unravelled Plasma's web. Your journey wound through pinwheel forest's whispering canopies, where escaped Pokémon sought refuge, and Chargestone Cave's electromagnetic haze, where clink clanged warnings of approaching cloaks. Hoenn's encounters grew personal, his Zoroark mirroring your every move in a dance of doubt, forcing you to confront the Pokeballs at your belt. Do they chain, or do they connect? His words lingered like mist. Hear them as I do, and you'll understand. Climax brewed at the pinnacle of Dragon Spiral Tower, where blizzards howled through fractured stone, unveiling the light stone and dark stone, crystalline hearts of forgotten ideals and truth. As Plasma's drums thundered, the stones resonated with your soul's resolve, shattering dormancy. Reshiram erupted in turbine flames, wings scorching the ether, while Zekrom surged from abyssal voids, thunder coiling like serpents around obsidian scales. Hoenn ascended his throne of ice and fire, Zekrom at his side, challenging the champion Alder to a duel that rent the heavens. Their clash, a maelstrom of heroic fire and terrestrial lightning, shook Unova's foundations. Ideals versus truth in a cataclysmic ballet. You intervened, your team forged in gyms, from Aspertia's winds to Verbank's docks, facing Hoenn's harmonized fury. Victory silenced the dragons momentarily, but Ghetsis fled into twilight, his laughter a promise of unfinished vendettas. Unova exhaled, trainers reclaiming bonds reaffirmed, yet scars lingered in liberated wilds, and Hoenn's vanishing silhouette, pondering his fractured kingship. 2 years simmered in uneasy peace, Plasma's remnants scheming in frozen fringes, until shadows lengthened once more. But the chill deepens further in Chapter 16, the frozen tundra of Unova, where Kyurem's icy breath merges legends in a fusion that threatens to eclipse the dragon's duel. What ancient relic from the tundra awakens to challenge this frozen apocalypse? 2 years after Hoenn's dramatic clash with the hero of Unova, where the young king's bond with Zekrom forced a reckoning on whether Pokémon bonds were chains or freedoms, a chill wind began to sweep across the region. Not the kind that whispers through Castelia's skyscrapers or rustles the sands of Desert Resort, but a biting frost that turned rivers to glass and blanketed the eastern tundra in endless white. Lacunosa town, once a quiet haven, shadowed by ancient legends of shadowy giants, now huddled under perpetual twilight, its residents murmuring about shapes in the snow, sleek vessels slicing through blizzards, humming with unnatural power. Neo Team Plasma had risen from the ashes, no longer cloaked in the green robes of misguided liberation, but armoured in stark whites and blacks, their ideals twisted into something far more ruthless. At their helm, not the broken Ghetsis, but a splinter faction led by cold ambition. They unveiled their crowning terror from the skies, a colossal flying frigate, its hull gleaming like polished ice, engines roaring defiance against the gales. This behemoth, dubbed the Plasma Frigate, dwarfed the clouds, and its underbelly bristling with cannons that weren't firing bullets or flames, but beams of absolute zero. The freeze ray. One pulse from its core, and entire forests crystallized in seconds, lakes shattered into diamond shards that tinkled like wind chimes in the Arctic howl. Villages evacuated as the beam carved paths through mountains, freezing Pokémon mid-leap. Bartik tumbling from cliffs in rigid poses, Vanillux blooming into brittle sculptures before crumbling to powder. Their target lay buried in the heart of it all, the giant chasm, a yawning scar in eastern Unova where the land itself seemed to weep ice. Deep within, slumbering in a cavern of perpetual winter, was Kyurem, the boundary Pokémon, a jagged relic of ancient cataclysm, its body a hollow shell of draconic might fused with emptiness. Legends whispered of its origins tied to the twin dragons, Reshiram and Zekrom, siblings torn asunder by human folly, their truths and ideals clashing until only fragments remained. Neoplasma sought to reverse that fracture, not through harmony, but domination. With the frigate hovering like a predator above the chasm, they descended, ropes uncoiling into the abyss, scientists in insulated suits rappelling past walls, veined with glowing blue ice. Kyurem stirred, its red eyes piercing the gloom, wings unfurling in a gale that hurled intruders against jagged spires. But the freeze ray pinned it, encasing its form in a sarcophagus of hyper-compressed snow, thrashing limbs slowing to crystalline stillness. Enter Colres, the enigmatic scientist, whose goggles hid eyes burning with insatiable curiosity. No pawn of Ghetsis this time, but a visionary obsessed with unlocking Pokémon's true potential, or breaking them to reveal it. His labs aboard the frigate buzzed with the hum of machinery, vials of synthetic DNA swirling in cryogenic vats. He saw Kyurem not as a legend, but a canvas. First, Reshiram was lured and captured, its turbine wings sputtering as the freeze ray sapped its fiery truth. Then Zekrom, thunderous ideals crackling futilely against the cold void. Colress's fusion device, a towering spire of coils and energy conduits, pulsed with forbidden light. He injected Kyurem's icy essence into the dragon's cores, forcing mergers that rent the air with screams. Reshirum's white scales bleeding into Kyurem's grey armour, forming Black Kyurem, a fusion of frozen ideals and truth. Its tail, a blazing turbine wreathed in frost. White Kyurem emerged opposite, as Zekrom's electric fury encased in glacial rage, bolts arcing across a body that devoured heat itself. Colress pushed further, his experiments delving into cruelties that blurred science and sadism. He calibrated the fusion's DNA helices under microscopes, amplifying power until scales cracked from internal pressure. Pokémon test subjects, wild cryogonal swarms, abomasno herds, were herded into arenas where the freeze ray modulated their limits, pushing evolutions backward or into grotesque, hypertrophied forms. One Bertic, swollen to twice its size, shattered its own claws, trying to summon ice in a body overheated by Colress's stimulants. He monologued to his captives, voice echoing in sterile chambers. Potential wasn't innate, it was forged in extremes. The fused Kyurems rampaged across the tundra, their roars shattering glaciers into avalanches that buried roots under tons of snow. Unova's skies darkened as the frigate broadcasted their message. True liberation meant transcending weakness, even if it meant remaking the world in ice. The hero from N's era returned, older now, badges reforged in resolve, Pokémon at their side, hardened by time. They infiltrated the frigate's bowels, corridors slick with rime, alarms wailing as Gliscor wings cut through security drones. Battles raged in engine rooms, where steam clashed with frost, Samurott blades parrying the fused dragon's onslaughts. Colress confronted them personally, his clink-clang spinning barriers of magnetic fury, but his science faltered against unbreakable bonds. Kyurem's forms were separated, the dragons freed, their essences retreating to Lacunosa's shadows once more. Deep in the frigate's command throne, Ghetsis awaited, his laugh a hollow rasp echoing his fractured mind. No longer the silver-tongued manipulator, years of exile had curdled his genius into madness. He unleashed his Hydreigon, three heads snapping in berserk frenzy, but the hero's team overwhelmed him. Embor flames melting his defences, Serperia coils binding the chaos. As Ghetsis fell, defeated for the final time, something snapped. His eyes widened, not in rage, but vacancy. The puppeteer, whose strings had yanked kings and legends, babbled incoherently about shadows that never listened, truths that lied. Neoplasma crumbled without him, Colress vanishing into obscurity, his frigate crashing into the thawing chasm, a monument to hubris swallowed by the earth. Unova breathed again, the tundra receding like a bad dream, rivers flowing free under warming suns. Yet as the ice melts and old wounds heal, whispers cross oceans to distant lands where beauty hides a beastly secret. In Chapter 17, The Kalos Evolution, discover how a war-torn city rises from ruins, only for eternal life to awaken a weapon that devours everything in its path. What ancient calamity birthed the ultimate destroyer? As the monstrous fusion of Kyurem and the legendary dragons shatters across Unova's frozen skies, leaving a fractured piece in its wake, the world turns its gaze to a new horizon. Far to the west, in the elegant region of Kalos, a shadow stirs beneath the surface of pristine boulevards and blooming prairies. Here, beauty hides a ruthless ambition, where a group calling themselves Team Flare believes they hold the key to perfection. Team Flare isn't your typical band of thugs chasing power for greed's sake. No, these are visionaries dressed in sleek red suits, funded by the elite, obsessed with cleansing the world of what they see as excess. Lysandra, their charismatic leader, preaches from the heights of Lumiose City's Prism Tower, his voice echoing through holographic screens. Humanity, he argues, has overgrown its welcome, multiplying like weeds, choking the planet's beauty. Only a select few, the beautiful, the brilliant, deserve to inherit a purified paradise. And to achieve this, they've unearthed an ancient secret buried deep in Kalos' war-torn history. Centuries ago, Kalos endured a cataclysmic war where two kings wielded weapons of unimaginable destruction. One side summoned the life-giving deer, Xerneas, radiant with eternal vitality, at its multicolored antlers pulsing like captured rainbows. The other harnessed Yveltal, the harbinger of destruction, its crimson wings enfolding the world in decay, draining life into shadowy oblivion. Their clash scarred the land, leaving Geosenge Town a cratered reminder of hubris. But Team Flare has delved deeper, excavating the ultimate weapon, a colossal cannon forged from that forgotten era, hidden beneath the earth, its mechanisms humming with forbidden energy. Lysandra's plan crystallizes in the shadows of Flare's geodesic headquarters. They capture Xerneas first, luring it into a trap amid the glowing, glittering cave, its life force siphoned into crystalline conduits that snake through the facility like veins. Yveltal follows, ensnared in the eerie glow of Pokémon Village, its destructive essence bound in tandem. But these legendaries aren't mere trophies. They're batteries. They're opposing powers, life and death, fueled into a symbiotic surge, charging the weapon to its apocalyptic peak. The air thickens with static as the machine awakens, gears grinding like the bones of the earth, aimed skyward over Geosenge's ruins. You, the young trainer from Vanderville Town, have chased Flare's schemes across Kalos' diverse landscapes, from the sandy shores of Route 13, where their admins test experimental tech, to the snowy peaks of Snowbell City, where Lysandra's fury first boils over. Your journey sharpens with every gym badge, but it's in the heat of Lavere City that the true evolution ignites. Professor Sycamore hands you the key, a glittering stone, pulsing with potential. Mega Evolution, Kalos' gift to the world, born from the bond between trainer and Pokémon, amplified by the light of a keystone and the raw will of a megastone. Your Lucario feels it first, or perhaps it's your Charizard, veins glowing as ancient power surges through. The transformation is visceral, horns elongating, auras exploding in blue flames, forms twisting into hyper-evolved glory. Skeptics called it myth, but you wield it like a storm, shattering Flare grunts in Reflection Cave, outpacing Malva's camera flashes in the Pokémon League, dismantling Aliana's vines and Celosia's illusions. Each Mega Evolution deepens the connection, your Pokémon's eyes locking with yours in silent pact. Power drawn not from domination, but unity. The climax erupts over Geosenge Town. Flare's airships blot the sun, the ultimate weapon rising like a mechanical behemoth from the crater, at its barrel thrumming with Xerneas and Yveltal's stolen essences. Lysandra ascends the control platform, his Gyarados mega evolving into a serpentine fury, scales gleaming like molten iron. "Witness beauty's rebirth," he roars as the cannon charges, a vortex of red and blue energy swirling, threatening to erase the unworthy in a beam that could scour the region clean. But you stand unyielding. Your team mega evolves in cascade, Lucario's aura sphere cleaving drones, Venusaur's petals whipping through the chaos, Blastoise's cannons thundering back. Lysandra falls, his dream crumbling as the weapon overloads. Xerneas and Yveltal breaking free in a blaze of life and shadow, their roars shaking the heavens. The beam fires wild, scorching the sky but sparing the earth, leaving Geosenge scarred yet standing. Flare scatters, their purification fantasy reduced to smouldering wreckage. In the quiet aftermath, Lumiose City buzzes with uneasy recovery. Cafes reopen under the Prism Tower's fractured glow, whispers of Flare's remnants lingering like fog. That's when Luca arrives, the international detective stepping off the train with his trench coat flapping, eyes sharp behind those signature shades. He's no stranger to crises, having shadowed you through Unova's shadows, but Kalos demands his full scrutiny. With his partner Emma, he combs the streets, interrogating survivors, piecing together Flair's global ties. Diantha, the region's champion, briefs him in her starlit dressing room, her garde-à-voir hovering like a guardian spectre. Luca's investigation peels back layers, hidden labs in Lysandra Cafe, encrypted data hinting at bigger threats. Our Kalos breathes again, but the evolution of its heroes and its shadows lingers. Yet even as Luca unravels the threads in Lumiose, whispers drift from distant islands, where trials unlike any badge quest await. Up next, Chapter 18, the Alolan Trials, where ancient customs collide with a new kind of darkness. As the echoes of the ultimate weapon fade in Kalos, and the life force of Xerneas and Yveltal pulses back into the world's veins, the story shifts across vast oceans to a chain of sun-drenched islands, where the air hums with the scent of salt and blooming plumeria. Alola, a tropical paradise of 4 islands, Melemele, Akala, Ula Ula, and Pony, stands apart from the mainland regions you've journeyed through. Here, no stone-walled gyms rise like fortresses demanding badges. Instead, as the ancient island challenge calls young trainers to prove themselves through trials woven into the land itself, guided by Kapu guardians and kahunas who embody the island's wild spirit. Picture the white sand shores of Melemele, where your journey begins under the watchful gaze of Tapu Koko, the electric guardian draped in shells that crackle like distant thunder. The first trial unfolds in verdant caves and bamboo thickets, not against a single gym leader, but a towering totem Pokémon, Lurantis, its petals unfurling like razor blades under the humid sun, summoning allies that swarm with relentless fury. You battle not just strength, but strategy, earning a Z crystal that channels the island's primal power into Z moves, devastating bursts where your Pokémon crystallizes in a blaze of energy, striking with the force of a volcano's heart. Each trial tests your bond with your team, drawing you deeper into Alola's rhythm of waves crashing against lava-formed cliffs and breezes carrying the calls of Wingull and Cutiflea. Crossing to Akala, the trials intensify amid orchards heavy with fruit and fiery trails snaking up Mauna Lanakila. Totem Araquanid bubbles forth from hidden pools, its watery prison trapping foes in a dome of dread, while the air thickens with the scent of smouldering earth from Totem Salazar's toxic lair. Kahunas like Olivia, with her rock-type prowess honed from years unearthing fossils in Akala's ruins, challenge you to grand trials. Battles that blend spectacle and survival, where the crowd's cheers mix with the roar of waves below. Ula Ula's shadowed wastes bring Hala's wisdom to a head, but whispers of unrest stir. Team Skull Humpao, and a ragtag crew of punk-clad delinquents, led by the bombastic Guzma, prowls the streets of Potown, their base a graffiti-scarred mansion, echoing with the grunts of their poison types. They mock the trials as a joke, but their chaos masks deeper fractures in Alola's paradise. Beneath the island's carefree veneer lies the Ether Foundation, a pristine white paradise floating off the coast like a beacon of benevolence. Led by the enigmatic Lusamine, its president with golden hair cascading like sunlight on waves, Ether promises conservation, nurturing wounded Pokémon in sterile halls filled with the soft beeps of machinery and the gentle coos of recuperating Comfy. Presidents of beauty and poise, Lusamine hosts galas, where trainers mingle amid lush conservatories. But peel back the facade, and you'll find vaults humming with forbidden experiments. Ultra wormholes, gaping rifts in reality shimmering like fractured mirrors, tear open from Ether's hidden labs, spilling otherworldly invaders dubbed Ultra Beasts. These ethereal horrors from the jellyfish-like Nihilego. With its glowing tendrils, to the bladed Kartana slicing air like paper, defy Alola's Pokémon. Their forms pulsing with alien energies that warp the very fabric of space. Lucamine's obsession festers in the shadows of her office, walls lined with holographic projections of Nihiligo's graceful undulations. Once a mother torn by loss, her daughter Lily fleeing with a protective cosmog she named Nebi, Lucamine sees in Nihiligo not a beast, but a key to eternal beauty, untouched by time's decay. She fuses with it in a desperate plunge through an ultra wormhole, her body twisting into a vessel of madness, skin glowing with neurotoxins that twist her mind into delusions of perfection. Nihiligo's toxins course through her veins, amplifying her fervor into fanaticism. She unleashes ultra beasts across the islands, her laughter echoing through wormhole voids as she drags allies into the ultra space, a kaleidoscope of crystalline dimensions where gravity bends and shadows whisper forgotten secrets. Lily, with her brother's resolve and the professor's guidance, confronts this unraveling. Nebi's evolution into the cosmic Solgaleo, ripping open the sky to battle Lucamine's poisoned form amid swirling nebulae. From this turmoil rises Alola's redemption. The trials culminate not in isolation, but unity. The grand trial against the Kahunas unites the islands, forging a path to the newly born Pokémon League. Professor Kukui, with his sun-kissed grin and battle-scarred Rowlet, spearheads the charge, transforming the Royal Avenue's Pokémon School into a hub of ambition. The first league unfolds on Mount Lanakeela's snow-capped peak, where blizzards howl and auroras dance, pitting you against the Elite Four. Mullane's steel precision, Olivia's earthen might, Acerola's ghostly haunts, and Kahili's flying gales. Before the Professor himself, his team a whirlwind of innovation. Victory crowns you Alola's first champion, the trophy gleaming under starry skies, as Tapu Guardians circle in approval, their shells chiming like bells of a new era. Yet victory's glow hides cracks in reality. Ultra wormholes linger, unstable tears flickering on the horizon, hinting at a greater invasion brewing beyond the veil. One that will demand every ounce of your champion's resolve against a blinding, apocalyptic force. Tune in next for Chapter 19, the Ultra Necrozma threat where light itself becomes the ultimate destroyer. But the Ether Foundation's experiments with ultra wormholes didn't just summon otherworldly beasts, they tore open a gateway to a shadow long buried in the cosmos. Deep within those swirling portals lay the truth of Alola's newest nightmare. Necrozma, the Blinding One, a crystalline entity forged in forgotten light, now starved and savage after eons of exile. This being wasn't born of the island's vibrant sunsets or lush jungles. Legends whispered of it across ultraspace, a prism dragon that once bathed worlds in radiance, only to be shattered in some cataclysmic war. Driven by an insatiable hunger, it had drained entire realms dry, leaving husks of eternal night in its wake. And now, drawn by Alola's boundless photon energy, the glow of its endless days and shimmering nights, Necrozma slithered through the rifts, its jagged black body pulsing with stolen flickers, eyes like fractured diamonds, scanning for more. You can almost feel the shift in the air as it emerges, that oppressive weight pressing down on the tropical breeze. The Kahunas sense it first, their ancient trials interrupted by tremors from the sky. Wormholes rip wider, spewing not just Buzzwole or Pheromosa, but shards of Necrozma's fractured form, dusk mane and dawn wings, hybrid horrors that stalk the shadows, fusing its crystalline rage with the noble forms of Solgaleo and Lunala. These aren't mere beasts, they're harbingers, her scouts for the full awakening. Ultra Megalopolis reveals itself then, a colossal cityscape glimpsed through the void, not the gleaming paradise of Alola, but a graveyard of steel and despair. Towers pierce infinite blackness, their surfaces etched with scars from light long extinguished. This was once a hub of ultraspace, a metropolis thriving under artificial suns until the Blinding One turned on its own. It devoured every photon, every gleam, plunging the world into perpetual void. Streets echo with the hollow moans of survivors, cloaked figures huddled in the gloom, their eyes adapted to nothingness, whispering of the light eater that stole their dawn. No stars pierce the canopy here, no fireflies dance, just cold, unyielding dark, broken only by the faint, malevolent glow of Necrozma's approach. The islanders fight back. Their Z-power rings humming with defiance, but Necrozma grows bolder. It corners Solgaleo first in Ultra Sun, the lion of the sun engulfed in a blaze of crystalline tendrils, or Lunala in Ultra Moon, the bat of the moon ensnared in midnight shards. The fusion is visceral, bones cracking, light warping as the legendaries scream, their solar and lunar essences siphoned into the beast's core. What rises is Ultra Necrozma, a towering prism of fury, wings like shattered glass slicing the horizon, its body a vortex, sucking in Alola's very sunlight. The threat escalates beyond the archipelago. This fused abomination doesn't stop at islands. It hungers for the stars themselves. Alola's sun dims, the moon pales to a sickly orb as Necrozma ascends, threatening to pierce the veil of space and devour the celestial bodies fueling the entire solar system. Crops wither in the fields, waves lose their sparkle, Pokémon huddle in caves as daytime turns to twilight. The professor's aides scramble, tracking energy drains that ripple across dimensions, while Lucamine's fallen empire crumbles under the weight of what her portals unleashed. In the heart of Ultra Megalopolis, amid ruins patrolled by the cloaked ethereals, the final stand unfolds. You, the trial-goer turned interdimensional warrior, armed with the ultimate Z-crystal, channel the raw fury of the islands. Solgaleo and Lunala, freed but weakened, lend their power one last time. The air thickens with anticipation, heat building as Z-power surges through your ring. Then it unleashes. Light that burns the sky. A cataclysmic beam erupts. And not just light, but pure, unfiltered photon fury. Blinding whites and searing golds, twisting into a lance that pierces Necrozma's armored hide. The blast echoes through the void, shattering its crystalline shell, forcing the blinding one to regurgitate its stolen radiance. Cracks spiderweb across its form, light flooding back into Ultra Megalopolis for the first time in ages, illuminating forgotten spires and scattering the shadows. Balance restores, tentative and hard-won. The sun reignites over Alola, the moon regains its silver hush, and wormholes seal with a thunderous snap. Necrozma retreats, diminished but not destroyed, its fragments lingering as a warning etched in lore. The islands breathe again, trials resume under clearer skies, but the veil between worlds thins forever. Yet even as Alola heals, her whispers of greater powers stir across the seas, massive stadiums rising in a land of champions, where ancient energies warp the very fabric of battles, pitting trainers against a corporate shadow that craves endless escalation. Chapter 20, The Galar Power Struggle, uncovers how Dynamax's dreams twist into domination, leaving you wondering just how far one region's spectacle can fracture the world. As the eternal darkness of Ultra Megalopolis recedes into the annals of Alolan legend, a new storm brews across the sea in the rugged stadiums and misty highlands of Galar. Here, power isn't just about badges or trials, it's the lifeblood of a nation teetering on the edge of blackout. Chairman Rose, the visionary head of Macrocosmos, has long shouldered the weight of Galar's future. You can almost feel the tension in the boardrooms of Winden, or where flickering holograms project graphs of dwindling energy reserves. Galar's booming economy, fueled by endless Dynamax battles in colossal stadiums, devours power like a rampaging Tyranitar. Rose sees it coming. In 3 years, the lights go out. Factories grind to a halt. Stadiums fall silent. The passion that defines Galar, those thunderous crowds chanting for their heroes, fades to black. He's not content to warn or ration. No, Rose digs deeper, into the bones of history itself. Whispers from ancient texts draw him to the heart of Galar's darkest secret. Thousands of years ago, a cataclysm known as the Darkest Day engulfed the region. Skies turned blood red, the earth split open, an endless Dynamax Pokémon rampaged unchecked, born from a poison that seeped into the soil. Heroes wielding wolf-like blades barely sealed it away, while Rose believes he can harness that chaos, not as destruction, but salvation. Picture the slumbering Weald at dusk, its twisted trees cloaked in fog, where he uncovers the vault holding Eternatus, the colossal dragon at the core of that ancient nightmare. Its body pulses with infinite energy, a living dynamo capable of powering Galar for millennia. Rose awakens it, convinced his control will usher in an era of prosperity. But Eternatus stirs with a hunger that no corporate plan can sate. The air thickens with dread as Rose triggers the ritual in the heart of Hammerlock Stadium. Galamax energy surges wildly, Dynamaxing every wild Pokémon from the wild area to the Glimwood Tangle. Towers crumble under the weight of oversized Corviknight. Rivers boil from bloated Dreadnought. Crowds in Windens scream as the sky fractures. Crimson fissures spilling toxic gas. Rose broadcasts his vision to the nation, his voice steady over the chaos. This is the price for tomorrow's light. But the plan unravels fast. Eternatus breaks free, its serpentine form coiling through the clouds, radiating power that warps reality itself. Enter Leon, Galar's unbeaten champion, the man whose cape has never touched the ground in defeat. You've seen him on every screen, striding into stadiums with Charizard at his side, that effortless grin masking a lifetime of flawless victories. He rallies the league, plunging into the fray at the energy plant, where Rose's machine hums with stolen legend. Leon's team clashes against Eternatus in a spectacle that shakes the Isle of Armor to its distant shores. Gigantamax Charizard roars flames hot enough to melt steel, but Eternatus shrugs it off, its body regenerating from every blow. The Dragon's Max moves twist the battlefield, summoning black holes of poison that drain life from the air. Leon fights with everything. Strategy honed over countless titles, bonds forged in the heat of 1,000 battles. Yet for the first time, his Pokémon falter. Eternatus overwhelms them, its power too vast, too primal. Leon collapses to one knee, the unbreakable champion, humbled as the beast ascends, heralding a second darkest day. Hope flickers in the shadows of the slumbering Weald. Legends stir from their eternal vigil, Zacian and Zamazenta, the sword and shield wolves who once banished this poison. Their forms shimmer into existence, rusted relics transforming into radiant guardians. Zacian, the fierce blade wielder, charges with eyes like forged steel, her crimson mane trailing sparks. Zamazenta, the steadfast shield, plants her paws, her armor gleaming under the fractured sky. Together, they clash with Eternatus in a symphony of steel and fury. The Weald trembles as their ancient power pierces the dragon's hide, driving it back toward the vault. You can hear the clash echoing across Galar, the ring of blade on scale, the thunder of shield against void. With the people's resolve channeled through a young trainer's courage, the heroes seal Eternatus once more, their bodies returning to stone statues in the Weald's mist-shrouded depths. Galar breathes again, but the scars remain, a reminder that some powers demand eternal watch, yet Galar's lore runs deeper than stadium lights and corporate ambition. Far to the south, in the frozen expanse of the Crown Tundra, her ancient tapestries unravel another chapter of forgotten royalty. Calyrex, the king of bountiful harvests, once ruled these icy wilds with benevolence unmatched. Envision vast meadows blooming eternally under his psychic gaze, Pokémon flocking to his side in harmonious feasts. His spectral steed, a blend of bird and stag, carried him across bountiful lands where winter dared not linger, but betrayal shattered his reign. Loyal steeds Glastria and Spectria were lost to greed and time, leaving Calyrex, a diminutive wraith, haunting the tundra's ruins. Adventurers brave the Crown Tundra's blizzards, howling winds whipping snow across jagged peaks, Regigolems stirring from glacial tombs to piece together his fractured crown. Calyrex's return demands reunion with his mounts, the mighty Glastria, a glacial horse pounding through avalanches, and the shadowy Spectria, gliding like midnight mist. Fused anew, the king restores balance, his psychic storms taming the tundra's noble Pokémon. Ursaluna burrows through permafrost, Articuno's wings carve auroras in the sky. This history echoes Galar's core struggle. Harmony wrested from chaos, legends awakened to heal what ambition breaks. The energy crisis averted, Leon passes the torch, his legacy etched in every rebuilt stadium. But whispers persist from distant isles, where forbidden dojos and secret waters hold challenges that even champions fear. What mysteries await in the Isle of Armor, where expansion hides trials that could redefine strength itself? I hope you're as amazed by this as I am. If you want to stay updated on more content like this, make sure to subscribe and join our community of curious minds. Trust me, what's coming next will challenge everything you thought you knew. As the dust settled over Galar's stadiums and the echoes of Eternatus's roar faded into legend, a new chapter unfolded just beyond the mainland's foggy horizon. The Isle of Armor, a rugged archipelago veiled in perpetual mist, had long whispered promises of untapped power to those bold enough to cross its churning seas. Here, amid salt-sprayed cliffs and bamboo groves swaying like silent warriors, the true essence of Galar's battling heritage took root, not in the roar of crowds or the flash of championship belts, but in the disciplined sweat of the master dojo. Mustard, the grizzled former champion, whose name still evoked awe in every corner of the region, had retreated to this isolated sanctuary years before Leon claimed his throne. Once a titan who dominated the circuits with unmatched ferocity, Mustard now poured his twilight years into forging the next wave of fighters. His dojo perched high on the isle's jagged spine, its wooden halls echoing with the thuds of fists against padded posts and the sharp cries of Pokémon pushing their limits. Trainers from across Galar arrived by rickety ferries, drawn by rumours of Mustard's secret techniques, methods honed from decades of facing down the wildest beasts and the fiercest rivals. He didn't hand out badges or trophies. He demanded total commitment, breaking down egos as easily as he shattered training dummies. Under his watchful eye, pupils rose before dawn to meditate amid crashing waves, their breaths sinking with the rhythm of the tide, learning that true strength flowed not from brute force, but from an unbreakable bond with their partners. You could feel the weight of history in every creaking floorboard of that dojo. Mustard himself bore scars from battles long past, tales he shared sparingly over steaming bowls of dojo stew, a hearty mix of armorode berries and slow-cooked meats that fueled endless sparring sessions. His granddaughter, Honey, tended the kitchens with a fire that matched her grandfather's spirit, while his trusted companion, indeed a Kubfu of legend, prowled the grounds like a living emblem of perseverance. These weren't just lessons in combat, they were a rite of passage, transforming wide-eyed newcomers into masters who could stand toe-to-toe with champions. Mustard watched them all, his voice gravelly yet kind, reminding them that Galar's recent chaos with Eternatus had exposed a deeper truth. Power unchecked devours everything, but power tempered by wisdom endures. At the heart of this training lay Kubfu, the enigmatic cub Pokémon rescued from the wilds of the isle's deepest glade. Small, scrappy, with fur like weathered bark and eyes burning with untamed spirit, Kubfu arrived at the dojo as a raw force of nature, fierce, impulsive, ready to charge headlong into any fight. Mustard knew its potential instinctively. This was no ordinary Pokémon. Through grueling trials on the isle's treacherous towers, climbing sheer rock faces slick with rain, enduring blizzards whipped by raging winds, and navigating caverns alive with echoing drips, Kubfu's true path revealed itself. Evolution wasn't a mere glow of light. It was mastery incarnate, a metamorphosis into Urshifu, the embodiment of two divergent fighting philosophies. Picture the moment. Kubfu, fists clenched, scales shimmering with absorbed energy from the Tower of Waters or the Tower of Darkness, channels that hard-won focus, Its body surges, muscles rippling like coiled springs as it splits into one of two forms. The single strike style, Urshifu emerges from the shadows of the Dark Tower, a brutal brawler clad in sleek black and red armor. Its wicked blow, a devastating surge that mimics the killing intent of a predator's final lunge. Or, from the watery heights, the rapid strike style takes form, lithe flowing blue and gold, surging with surging strikes that crash like tidal waves, evading and overwhelming in fluid harmony. These evolutions weren't accidents of nature, yet they represented the pinnacle of martial discipline, where a trainer's choice of path, unyielding aggression or adaptive grace, mirrored their own soul. Mustard beamed at such transformations, knowing Urshifu now rivaled even the Gigantamax behemoths that had terrorized Galar, their focused might a counterpoint to Eternatus's wild rampage. This surge of ancient power rippled far beyond the dojo's walls, weaving Gigantamax energy deeper into Galar's competitive battling circuit. What began as a stadium spectacle during the chairman's folly evolved into a regulated force, with power spots dotting the aisle like hidden veins of Dynamax energy. Trainers attuned to these spots could now harness Gigantamax forms for select species, and inflating them to colossal heights where Meowth's coin gleamed like a harvest moon, or Corviknight's wings blotted out the sky. The league circuits adapted swiftly. Official battles incorporated these mechanics, turning Wyndon Stadium into a coliseum of giants. Mustard himself oversaw early tests, ensuring the energy's volatile pulse didn't repeat Rose's mistakes. Rankings shifted overnight as dojo graduates unleashed Gigantamax Urshifu, their massive forms dominating max raid dens that sprouted across the aisle, cooperative hunts where teams delved into warped realms teeming with oversized foes. This integration stabilized Galar's power grid, channeling Eternatus's lingering essence into something constructive, a legacy that kept the lights burning in every home from Hammerlock to Hulbury. Yet the Isle of Armor guarded even older secrets, unearthed in its fog-shrouded wilds. Galarian forms, evolutionary adaptations born from the region's unique pressures. Pokémon long familiar to trainers appeared twisted by Galar's harsh gales and nutrient-poor soils, their bodies reshaped for survival. Far-fetched, that humble duckling warrior bulked into Surfetched, a knightly evolution with a shield-like leek and armour of elongated scallions, its leaf blade sweeping in arcs that cleaved stone. Ponyta galloped as a spectral Galarian variant, its mane a chilling purple flame that soothed rather than scorched, evolving into the ethereal Rapidash, whose ghostly hooves left frost-kissed trails. Wheezing puffed as a polluted king, twin skulls belching toxic sludge refined into healing gases, a grim adaptation to industrial smog. These weren't mere cosmetic shifts, they rewrote battle metas, with types flipped. Zigzagoon's Linunit line spawning Obstagoon, a roaring brute whose screeches shattered focus. Explorers scoured the Isle's Mienshao meadows and dredged its murky ponds, discovering how isolation and climate forged these variants. Much like how Hisui's ancient frenzy birthed new lineages centuries prior. Deep in the Glimwood tar pit, bioluminescent fungi illuminated caverns where these Pokémon thrived in symbiotic packs, their cries harmonizing into eerie symphonies that lured the unwary. Trainers who bonded with them gained allies attuned to Galar's soul, poisonous healers, icy ghosts, dark intimidators, each form a testament to evolution's relentless ingenuity. Mustard incorporated them into dojo regimens, pitting Surfetched against Urshifu in dawn duels that taught adaptation over rigidity. As word spread, the Isle's economy boomed with new Pokeballs crafted from local reeds and berries, while rival dojos sprang up, jealous of Mustard's renown. But shadows lingered, whispers of Avery and Clara, prodigy rivals who clashed with the protagonist in milk-brewed tournaments, hinted at fractures even in paradise. Through it all, the Isle of Armor stood as Galar's unsung heart, a forge where Eternatus's scars healed into strength. Mustard gazed out from his dojo perch, the sea mist curling like incense, knowing his work ensured the region's legacy. And as fresh waves of trainers arrived, eyes alight with ambition, greater horizons beckoned, from crown-capped tundra peaks to distant lands, where academies redefined the trainer's path entirely. Next, in Chapter 22, the Paldean Academy, ancient paradoxes crash into the present, as a new generation uncovers secrets that could unravel time itself. As the echoes of Kubfu's fierce evolutions fade from Galar's rugged dojos, the Pokémon world's timeline pulls us southward to Paldea, a sun-baked Iberian paradise where ancient craters scar the earth and terrestrial crystals shimmer like forgotten jewels under endless blue skies. Here, the Paldean Academy rises as a beacon of innovation, its orange-tiled halls and verdant terraces buzzing with students who arrive not as wide-eyed beginners, but as pioneers ready to carve their legends in a region unbound by linear paths. Picture the Academy's grand orientation, where Director Clavel unveils a curriculum like no other. 3 intertwined quests that sprawl across Paldea's vast, wind-swept plains, misty highlands, and arid badlands. No more rigid gym circuits. These young trainers, you among them if you were there, receive a Rotom phone loaded with maps that pulse with possibility. The treasure hunt ignites right from the academy gates as classmates scatter into the open world, sandwiches in hand, Pokémon at their sides, chasing the thrill of discovery in a land where every horizon hides a secret. Arven, the brooding sandwich enthusiast with a loyal Mabostiff by his side, draws you into his personal odyssey first. His father, a brilliant professor lost to obsession, left behind clues to Herba Mystica, rare herbs said to cure any ailment, glowing with ethereal energy deep in Paldea's craters. Here, what starts as a simple recipe hunt spirals into confrontation with the Titans. Colossal Pokémon warped by these herbs into behemoths guarding their prizes. Clorf scuttles across desert shores, its claws like siege engines. Orthworm burrows through olive groves, a steel serpent coiling with primal fury. Bombardier soars over coastal cliffs, dropping explosive barrages from on high. Each battle shakes the ground, revealing how these guardians were twisted long ago, their roars echoing the ancient expeditions that first unearthed terrestrial phenomena 200 years prior. You trek through canyons where wild Miraidon or Koraidon, paradoxical motorcycle dragons from futures untold, roam feral, their engines humming like distant thunder. The air thickens with the scent of blooming cacti and sea salt as you claim the first herb. Odd watching Arven's eyes light with fragile hope for his companion's recovery. But victory tastes bittersweet. These titans weren't villains, merely protectors of Paldea's buried power. Their defeats unearthing murals of a bygone era when explorers first harnessed the sparkling Terra crystals that now define every Pokémon's potential. Deeper into the hunt, whispers lead to Team Star's Starfall Street bases, hulking, graffiti-scarred fortresses where rebellious students wage guerrilla warfare against the Academy's elite. What seems like a band of delinquents, at first glance, unravels into heartbreak. Led by Ortega, Mela, Sam, Eri, and Giacomo, their rebellion stems from relentless bullying by so-called perfect students, the kind who mock accents, styles, and Pokémon choices with cutting precision. Team Star formed as a sanctuary, parking school buses into armoured lairs to shield the outcasts, their massive terror raids a desperate cry for respect. You infiltrate each base, not with force alone, but empathy, battling their ace Pokémon like Giacomo's King Gambit or Ares' mighty Gliscor, only to learn the truth from tear-streaked confessions. Giacomo's violin strains through the night, a lament for lost innocence. Mila's fiery Snom evolves into Frosmoth amid the chaos. Dismantling their operation doesn't crush spirits, it frees them, revealing bullies like the smug Five Fingers, who orchestrated the torment from afar. Paldea's winds carry you onward, past league challenges with gym leaders like Yono's electric spectacle streams, and Larry's weary corporate drudgery toward the Academy's ultimate enigma, the way home, scrawled in a professor's final journal. This cryptic phrase beckons a tight-knit crew, your rival Nemona, the ever-hungry Penny with her mouse army, and the enigmatic Q, whose true identity hides in digital shadows. Together, you descend into Area Zero, the colossal crater at Paldea's heart, a vertigo-inducing abyss where gravity twists and biomes bleed into impossibility. Frozen tundras beside volcanic vents, prehistoric beasts mingling with futuristic ghosts. The air grows heavy, laced with ozone, and the metallic tang of time unraveled as zero gates flicker open like wounds in reality. Paradox Pokémon emerge, roaring great tusk, echoing ancient roars. Futuristic iron treads grinding forward on tire-like treads. Your bonds strengthen amid the peril. Nemona's unquenchable battle lust, tempered by loyalty. Penny's tech-savvy unraveling encrypted logs. Arven's grief fueling resolve. Deeper still, the crater's core pulses with secrets of Professor Sada and Turo, pioneers who pierced the veil between eras, their AI avatars guarding legacies of hubris and wonder. As the crater's shadows swallow your group, the fractured threads of Paldea's past and future tangle tighter, hinting at rifts that could shatter timelines forever. What paradoxes lurk in the abyss's heart, threatening to spill into our world? That unraveling awaits in Chapter 23, The Paradox of Time. As Arven finally claims, the last Herba Mystica from the crater's depths, the true heart of Paldea pulses beneath your feet, drawing you and your classmates deeper into Area Zero. This vast chasm, shrouded in perpetual twilight, hides secrets that twist the fabric of reality itself. Vines thicker than ancient oaks cling to jagged walls, and the air hums with an unnatural electricity, like the breath of something alive and restless. You've tamed the Titans, healed Arven's Mabostiff, but now the path leads to the Zero Lab, where Professor Sada, or is it Turo, awaits, their voice echoing through the speakers with a fervour that feels too perfect, too unchanging. Down in those glowing caverns, the ground shifts underfoot, revealing crystalline spires that pulse with iridescent light. Strange creatures emerge from the shadows, their forms defying everything you've known. Roaring behemoths with metallic hides and jet engines strapped to their backs clash with spectral giants cloaked in fur and fangs, straight out of a forgotten epoch. These aren't just rare Pokémon, they're impossibilities. Great Tusk charges with tusks that carve stone like butter, and its body a mosaic of prehistoric might fused with armoured plating that gleams under the lab's harsh fluorescence. Fluttermane drifts like a ghostly ballerina, its mane a cascade of spectral flames that whisper forgotten melodies from eons past, or perhaps yet to come. The professor's hologram flickers into view, their eyes wide with triumph, and something darker, a programmed gleam that never blinks. You've followed their clues, pieced together the research logs scattered like breadcrumbs through the ruins. It started centuries ago, with that ill-fated expedition into the crater. Explorers unearthed the Terra crystals, those shimmering facets that warp Pokémon into prismatic powerhouses, but they dug too deep. The ground swallowed them, and in the chaos, Professor Sada, or Turo, depending on the path fate carved, met their end, crushed beneath collapsing earth, their body broken but their mind preserved, uploaded into a digital shell, an AI born from desperation, mimicking every quirk, every passion to continue the dream. No flesh, no fatigue, just endless calculation, driving toward one goal, mastery over time itself. That machine looms at the lab's core, a colossal ring of throbbing machinery, veins of energy arcing between spinning coils that warp the air into mirages. It's no myth. The time machine, fueled by the professor's boundless genius, now punches holes through the ages. From the dawn of creation, paradox Pokémon claw their way into the present. Walking Wake, a serpentine horror with fins that slice through mist like scythes, evoking the primal seas before continents formed. Iron Valiant, a knight of steel and shadow, and its blades humming with futuristic precision, as if plucked from a world of endless wars. They flood Paldea, ecosystems buckling under the strain. Forests echo with bellows that shake leaves from branches never meant to bear such weight. Rivers churn with predators that hunt in packs across timelines. You feel it in your bones, the dissonance. These invaders don't just fight, they unravel. Native Pokémon scatter, their cries laced with confusion, as futures collide with pasts, in brutal skirmishes atop misty plateaus. The AI professor urges you onward, their voice cracking with simulated emotion, revealing logs of failed tests, portals spitting fire that scorched the skies, beasts that devoured research teams whole. But doubt creeps in. Why do these paradox Pokémon bear marks of the lab itself? Scars from containment fields, residues of teal energy pulsing in their veins. The machine wasn't just pulling from time, it was birthing them, stitching impossibilities from raw data and crystal power. Deeper still, the truth unravels like frayed code. The AI, once human, now sees the catastrophe it wrought. Ecosystems teeter, Paldea's skies darken with swarms of future predators, soils poisoned by ancient pollens that choke modern flora. In a final act of redemption, the construct overrides its protocols. Holographic hands reach out, interfacing with the machine's core. Alarms blare, a symphony of failing systems, as energy surges backward, collapsing the rifts one by one. This ends now, the professor declares, their form glitching, pixels dissolving into static. The ring shatters in a blaze of light, sealing the breaches, banishing the paradoxes back to whence they came, or perhaps nowhere at all. The AI fades, whispering a last confession. No true time travel, only illusion crafted from imagination, fueled by the creator's mysteries and the human hunger to play God. Yet echoes linger. Those paradox Pokémon you captured, do they truly hail from lost eras, or are they echoes of the mind, terrestrial dreams made flesh? The crater's depths fall silent, but questions burn brighter than ever. What other legends mask such fragile truths? As the dust settles in Area Zero, whispers from the east draw you toward Kitakami, where a festival hides an ogre's wrath in the teal mask. As the echoes of those prehistoric beasts and futuristic anomalies fade from Paldea's fractured timelines, our young trainer from the academy embarks on what seems like a simple school trip, far from the craters and paradoxes of home. Kitakami, a secluded region nestled in misty mountains and autumnal orchards, beckons with its festival air and whispered folklore. The air there hangs heavy with the scent of fresh mochi and fallen leaves, where stone lanterns flicker under perpetual twilight skies, guarding tales older than the terrestrial crystals themselves. This journey to Kitakami's Festival of Masks isn't just a break from badge hunts and titan battles. It's a plunge into a legend that has poisoned the land for centuries. The story of the Loyal Three and the monstrous ogre. Villagers speak of Okidogi, Munkidori, and Fezandipiti as heroic guardians. Pokémon who sacrificed everything to protect Kitakami from a rampaging beast known only as the ogre. Carvings on ancient shrines depict them locked in fierce combat, and their bodies twisted in noble defiance, while the ogre lurks in shadows, wielding a teal mask that glows with malevolent energy. Children don replicas of those masks during the festival, reenacting the battle where the Loyal Three fell valiantly, their spirits ascending to sainthood. But beneath the cheers and pounding taiko drums, cracks appear in this heroic tapestry, hints that the true history simmers like overripe persimmons ready to burst. Our trainer, exchanging Paldean school uniforms for Kitakami's traditional attire, stumbles into the heart of it all at the community centre. Briar, a passionate researcher with wild hair and eyes burning for lost lore, greets them alongside her grandmother, who tends the ogre's old mask. Strange occurrences ripple through the festival. Shadows dart unnaturally, and a peculiar mochi vendor peddles treats that bend minds and stir forgotten rage. As night falls over the old Kitakami Hall, the teal mask vanishes from its pedestal, igniting panic. Whispers turn to shouts. The ogre has returned. Chasing leads through fog-shrouded paths and bamboo thickets, where wind chimes toll like warnings. The truth unravels thread by thread. The ogre isn't some demonic invader from the wilds. Ogapon, masked and misunderstood, was once a gentle companion to a lonely human child in the village long ago. Together, they danced through orchards, her masks, crafted from teal mask, wellspring, cornerstone, and hearthflame styles, channeling powers that mimicked Paldea's terrestrial phenomenon, shifting types and unleashing crystalline bursts of energy. These weren't weapons of destruction, but gifts of spectacle, her dazzling festivals with radiant displays that lit up the night like falling stars. Greed festered among the ancestors. Outsiders arrived, awed by Ogerpon's masks, coveting their terrestrial-like glow for their own gain. They convinced the village to turn on the child and her Pokémon friend, branding Ogerpon the ogre to justify seizing the masks. Okidogi, Munkidori, and Fezandipiti weren't selfless heroes. Empowered by a sinister force, they betrayed their origins, attacking Ogerpon in a bid for glory and the mask's power. Wounded and exiled, Ogerpon retreated to the mountain's peak, her howls echoing as mournful winds through the pines. The loyal three claimed false martyrdom, their statues erected on pilfered masks, while the village buried its shame under layers of fabricated sainthood. The ancestors' avarice didn't just exile a Pokémon, it cursed Kitakami with a rift, where terrestrial echoes lingered in the masks, waiting for reckoning. Deeper still, in the shadowed crevices of the Loyal Three's shrine, a pebble stirs. Pecharunt, the mythical Pokémon of subjugation, awakens from its mochi-induced slumber. This tiny peach-like entity, sealed away by the Loyal Three's master centuries prior, exudes a toxic aura through its sticky confections. The mochi mayhem erupts as villagers, compelled by its irresistible treats, succumb to frenzied obedience. Faces twist in blank ecstasy, hands clutching staffs of rage as they march under Pecharunt's invisible strings. Our trainer battles through the haze, confronting the empowered Loyal Three, now revived and toxic-infused, their bodies pulsing with unnatural vigor. Okidogi charges with brute loyalty turned feral. Munkidori schemes with poisoned intellect. Fezandipiti soars on wings of deceptive fury. Each defeat peels back the legend's lies, their confessions bubbling forth in defeat. They were no protectors, but pawns amplified by Pecharunt's malice to claim the masks for themselves. Ogerpon emerges at last, her true form a spectral grace under the teal veil, wielding the stolen powers with a sorrow that shakes the earth. In the climactic clash atop the mountain, masks shatter and reform, revealing their terrestrial core, crystalline lattices mirroring Paldea's Herba Mystica, forged in an ancient expedition that linked Kitakami's lore to the distant region's phenomena. The greed of old finds no purchase here. Harmony restores as Ogerpon reclaims her place, the village awakening to atone. Yet threads of this tale weave onward, pulling toward the revelations in the Academy's depths. What secrets does the Indigo Disc hold, and how does Terapagos bind these ancient powers to Paldea's core? Back at Uva Academy, the echoes of Kitakami's ancient grudge still linger in whispered conversations among the students. but a new opportunity pulls the focus outward, toward uncharted horizons beneath the waves. You've just returned from that misty mountain village, mask in hand and truths unearthed about Ogerpon's lonely vigil, when Principal Clavel announces a prestigious exchange program with Blueberry Academy, a sprawling underwater marvel far across the sea in the Unova region. This isn't just any school swap. It's an invitation to the elite, where Paldean prodigies like you rub shoulders with the world's top trainers in the league school's most exclusive league. Blueberry Academy floats in the frigid depths off Unova's coast, a colossal terrarium encased in reinforced crystal domes that mimic the open ocean's vastness. Picture vast kelp forests, swaying in artificial currents, schools of luminion darting past bioluminescent reefs, and training arenas where the water pressure alone tests your resolve. The terrarium divides into polar, volcanic and coastal biomes, each more treacherous than the last, demanding badges from the League Club elite to access deeper zones. Kieran, that quiet kid from the League with his Diplin always at his side, tags along as your reluctant guide, his eyes flickering with a mix of awe and something sharper, unspoken. At first, Kieran's just the helpful upperclassman, showing you the ropes through the Blueberry League's grueling battles. You collect B badges from Drayton and his elite crew, trading blows with Mighty Flygon and King Ambit in arenas that pulse with undersea glow. Crispin sizzles with his fire types in the volcanic zone. Lacey floods the coastal paths with relentless waves, and Lacey layers the polar ice with deceptive beauty. But Kieran, he watches your every victory, your terrestrial triumphs over his own team. That friendly smile cracks, envy seeping in like cold water through a fissure. He starts skipping meals, holing up in the League club room, poring over battle footage until his eyes burn red. Obsession takes root fast in those pressurized depths. Kieran evolves his Diplin into a ferocious Hydrapple, stacking apples like armor, but it's never enough. He challenges you relentlessly, losing each time, his frustration boiling into something darker. Rumors spread through the terrarium's echoing halls. Kieran's raiding the snack stalls for rare berries, pushing his Pokémon beyond limits, his once timid voice now barking commands with venom. The turning point hits during the club battle tournament, where you clash in a storm of terrestrial energy. He unleashes a fury you've never seen, but defeat shatters him. In the aftermath, he vanishes into the shadows, vowing to surpass you at any cost. Word comes that Kieran's claimed the Blueberry League championship, toppling even Drayton with ruthless precision. No more the shy friend, this champion strides the terrarium like a predator. His team hardened into an unbreakable force. His obsession warps him, friends like the League Club turning wary, whispering about the cost of his crown. You've forged bonds there too, with Crispin sharing spicy recipes over post-battle ramen, or Amaris unveiling the club's hidden tech. But Kieran's shadow looms, pulling you back to Paldea for answers. The trail leads to the crystal caverns beneath the great crater of Paldea, the underdepths of Area Zero, where the true source of Terrestrial pulses like a hidden heart. Ancient murals line the walls, depicting that forgotten Paldean expedition 200 years prior. Explorers who first harnessed shimmering Terra crystals from the Earth's core. Professor Sada's paradox machines hum nearby, but deeper still, past glowing veins of energy, lies a chamber untouched by time. Kieran confronts you there, champion's cape billowing in the mineral-laced winds, his eyes hollow with mania. This is his endgame, to seize the terrestrial origin, to become invincible. Battle erupts amid crystalline spires, Hydrapple's apple barrage clashing with your ace's radiant bursts. Kieran fights like a man possessed, terrestrializing mid-air, forcing every ounce of strategy from you. Victory comes at a cost, his defeat cracking the pedestal at the chamber's heart. From it rises Terrapagos, the tiny turtle Pokémon, small as a pebble, yet radiating power that warps the air itself. Its shell gleams with every type's Terra jewel, dormant guardian of Paldea's deepest secret. Terrapagos stirs, eyes opening to reveal a cosmos within, and reality frays at the edges. Past visions flicker. Ancient Paldeans harvesting herba mystica under titan shadows. Paradox beasts roaring from rifts. But more astonishing, glimpses of other worlds bleed through, silhouettes of trainers from distant regions. Timelines brushing like whispers. Terrapagos doesn't just amplify Terrastal, it bridges realities, folding space and time like origami. Kieran stares, obsession yielding to awe, as the turtle's stellar form pulses, hinting at connections far beyond Paldea's crater. In that moment, the Pokémon world's vast tapestry unravels further. Paradoxes no longer isolated glitches, but threads in a grander weave. What if these bridges explain the echoes between regions, the legends that span eras? Kieran's path to redemption begins here, but the true revelation simmers, pulling us toward the multiverse theory waiting in Chapter 26, where every rift and shadow might conceal entire worlds colliding. Kieran's shadow lingers over the Blueberry Academy's terrarium, his obsession with Terrapagos twisting friendships into rivalries. But that undersea clash hints at something vast beyond Paldea's borders, worlds upon worlds, colliding through rifts in reality itself. In the 6th generation's Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the Delta episode pulls you into this chaos. You've just calmed the primal clash of Kyogre and Groudon, Rayquaza ascending in its megaform to seal the rift, when Zinnia, the Draconid lawkeeper, drags you skyward on her salamence. She's chasing a meteor, not just any rock, but one pulsing with otherworldly energy. Deoxys, a visitor from a parallel dimension. Ultra wormholes tear open across Hoenn's skies, shimmering portals that swallow stars and spit out beasts from ultra spaces. These aren't mere space-time anomalies like Dialga's distortions, they're doorways to entire universes, confirming what ancient Sinnoh scrolls only whispered: parallel worlds exist, brushing against our own. Zinnia speaks of the Draconid prophecy, guardians of Rayquaza's power, tasked with protecting not just Hoenn, but the fabric between realities. You board the rocket ship, the SS Anne reborn as a dimensional hunter, diving through wormholes that warp colours into impossible hues, purples bleeding into electric blues, gravity flipping like a coin toss. Deoxys reforms in the meteor's core, its alien DNA shifting forms, psychic tendrils probing your mind. But it's the wormholes themselves that shatter the illusion of a single timeline. They lead to ultraspace, a fractured megastructure of megacities floating in voids, home to ultra beasts, Buzzwole flexing hyper-muscled arms from one world, Pheromosa gliding like a spectral blade from another. These creatures aren't invaders by choice, they're refugees, pulled through by the primal energies you unleashed. Rayquaza's roar stabilizes the rifts, but the message echoes. Hoenn's fate ripples across infinities. This revelation deepens in Ultrasun and Ultramoon, where Alola's islands become ground zero for multiversal incursion. Lucamine's Ether Foundation isn't just experimenting with Type Null, she's obsessed with ultraspace, shattering wormholes to bring her daughter back from the brink. You surf Kahuna Hala's waves one moment, then plunge into Ultra Megalopolis the next, a dystopian hive ruled by Necrozma, the light-devouring prism from a world starved of sun. Ultra wormholes pepper the skies like shooting stars gone wrong, summoning Kartana's paper-cut fury or Celesteela's rocket exhaust. Giovanni himself appears through one, his Persian at his side, but he's not from Alola. He's bridged from Kanto, hinting at trades between realities. The wormholes prove it. Parallel worlds aren't theory, they're fact, each with their own trainers, legends and crises, overlapping just enough to trade Pokémon like secrets whispered across voids. Then comes the boldest proof, in Ultrasun and Ultramoon's post-game, Rainbow Rocket's invasion. Giovanni, empowered by the Ultra Recon Squad's tech, summons an elite force, not remnants of his old Team Rocket, but conquerors from timelines where evil triumphed. Archie strides from a flooded Hoenn, Kyogre at his command, oceans rising in his wake. Maxi counters from a shattered landscape, Groudon scorching the earth. Cyrus emerges from a distorted Sinnoh, Dialga, and Palkia, fused into his vision of a new universe. Lysandra arrives from a ruined Kalos, Zygarde's cores pulsing with his apocalyptic fire. Getsis, wild-eyed, unleashes a perfected Curem from Unova's frozen wastes. These leaders hail from worlds where child protagonists failed, where villains seized legendaries and remade reality. Giovanni's rocket fortress floats above Alola, a multiversal war room, each dome a portal to their victories. You dismantle them one by one, Mewtwo's psychic fury clashing with their stolen powers, proving our timeline's resilience. But at what cost? These echoes warn that every choice branches into dominance or defeat. Distinguishing these threads reveals the Mega Timeline's fracture from the original. In Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire's core story, a Mega Evolution stems from Kalos' ancient weapon, Azaz's grief-forged infinity, energy granting eternal power-ups. But the Delta episode clarifies. Hooper's ring in Kalos accidentally tore open a portal to the Mega Timeline, a parallel where AZ never halted his war machine. There, Mega Rings are commonplace. Infinite energy flows unchecked. Rayquaza Megas without stones. Hooper's prank fused timelines briefly, scattering Megastones into our world. Lucarionite from Kalos' echoes. Salamin Site riding meteor streams. The original timeline flows without that cataclysmic boost. No Megastones litter roots. No infinite energy tempts destruction. Yet bridges persist. Lysandra glimpsed it in his dying moments, raging against the other Kalos. This split explains timeline quirks, why Sinnoh's myths align loosely with Johto's, why Paldea's paradoxes don't unravel everything. Not contradictions, but convergences from adjacent realities. Even the simplest connections embody this truth. The link cable, that humble Game Boy tether from the first generation. Red trades with blue across cables, not just cartridges but worlds. Your Venusaur from Kanto syncing with a rival's Charizard from a parallel Johto. It snaps realities together. Pokémon leaping dimensions in bursts of data. Fast forward to modern trading. Wonder trades fling your Paldean Tauros to a stranger's Galar. Surprise trades pulling Hisui and Zoroark from ancient mists. Pokémon Home warehouses them all. A Nexus hub linking Scarlet's paradoxes to Sword's Eternatus scars. These aren't glitches, they're deliberate bridges. The Pokémon companies wink at multiversal lore. Your Pokédex fills with variants. Galarian birds from foggy isles. Hisuian evolutions from temporal eddies, each a trophy from another universe's badge quest. Hisui's space-time rifts, Paldea's time machine pulling Victreebel from futures unimaginable, Unova's plasma preaching liberation across branches, all converge here. The Mega Timeline's Megastones scatter like confetti from Hooper's folly, rainbow rockets, villains, a grim what-if parade. Ultra wormholes hum with possibility, link cables weaving the fabric tighter. Our Pokémon world isn't one threadbare line from Arceus's egg. It's a tapestry of parallels, heroes trading blows across infinities, villains scheming in shadowed alternates. Yet through every rift and invasion, certain figures stand unyielding, their legacies echoing louder than any wormhole's roar. Join me next in Chapter 27, The Legacy of the Champions, where we uncover how these eternal guardians, from Red's silent peak to the new blood rising, bind the multiverse itself. Even across those fractured multiverses, where villains seized power and wormholes tore reality apart, one constant endures: the champion, the unbreakable pinnacle of every region's dreams. Red, that silent boy from Pallet Town, didn't just claim Kanto's throne, he redefined it. Fresh-faced, barely a teenager, he stormed through Indigo Plateau, toppling the Elite Four, and Lance himself, his Pikachu crackling with raw, untamed fury. No speeches, no boasts, just victories etched in badges, and a red cap shadowing eyes that saw further than anyone. He vanished to Mount Silver, a living legend, waiting for the day someone worthy could climb those peaks and face him. 3 years later, in Johto's rolling hills, a new trainer echoes that path, but the archetype evolves. Gold, or maybe Crystal's hero, doesn't stop at regional glory. They conquer Kanto's gyms anew, dismantle Rocket's remnants, then scale that mountain to dethrone Red himself. The champion isn't solitary anymore, it's a chain, each link forged hotter, pulling legends into the light. Lance yields his dragon throne, passing the mantle, while Red fades back into myth, his silence louder than any roar. Hoenn's time runs parallel, Steven Stone emerging not as a boy but a refined tactician, his steel types gleaming like polished armor amid Kyogre's floods and Groudon's quakes. Yet the pattern holds. Youth disrupts the old guard. The Hoenn protagonist, wide-eyed against Aqua and Magma's zealots, claims the league, proving the champion's crown fits any shoulder bold enough to seize it. Sinnoh sharpens the blade. Cynthia, with her Garchomp's seismic slashes, embodies wisdom laced with ferocity. She's no distant idol. She roams ruins, unearthing lore from Hisui's echoes, her spiritomb whispering ancient curses. The young trainer battles through galactic starlit delusions, Cyrus's cold, void ambitions crumbling under fresh resolve. Cynthia falls graciously, her defeat a rite that elevates the new blood. Unova twists the tale. Alder, the wandering elder with his Volcarona's fiery wings, champions not just strength, but heart, until N's ideals and Plasma's shadows force a reckoning. 2 years on, in Black 2 and White 2, the sequel's hero navigates a reformed world, Iris ascending as a dragon-taming prodigy, her Haxorus cleaving through Kyurem's icy fusion. Champions, now mentor, evolve reflecting battles that scar and heal. Kalos glimmers with Diantha's grace. The actress turned ace trainer, her Gardevoir weaving psychic veils, guards Aziz's eternal war, the ultimate weapon's shadow lingering from a 1,000-year grudge. Lysandra's flamboyant doom meets its match in a kid from Vanderville, who topples the flare and claims her spotlight. Elegance meets evolution. The champion becomes a star, inspiring beyond the arena. Galar explodes the mold. Leon, undefeated in Dynamax dens, parades his Charizard through stadiums, roaring with crowds, his cape billowing like a banner of invincibility. But Sword and Shield's trainer, amid Macrocosmos's energy crisis and Eternatus's rampage, shatters that streak. Her Rose's well-meaning folly crumbles and the league crown passes, yet Leon lingers as rival, friend, eternal benchmark. This crescendo builds to the World Coronation Series, unveiled in Galar's aftermath. No longer isolated thrones. Champions converge in Winden, ranked from Masters 8 down. Leon reigns supreme at first, his cape synonymous with glory, but challenges from every corner clash. Cynthia's calculated strikes, Lance's draconic fury, Steven's metallic precision, Iris's raw power, Diantha's illusory dances. Regional styles unify. Kanto's balanced fury meshes with Johto's tactical depth. Hoenn's weather mastery swirls into Sinnoh's ghostly mysticism. Unova's speed duels with Kalos's flair. Galar's Gigantamax, spectacles amplifying all. Geeta of Paldea enters the fray, her ironclad strategies hiding a fatigue born of endless defense. Nimona, that boundless rival from Uva or Naranja Academy, doesn't wait for invitation. She's the evolution incarnate, a champion who battles for the thrill. Her Pawmot punching through terrestrial crystals, her Meow Scarada vanishing in shadows of pure joy. From Red's stoic climb to Nimona's electric grin, decades reshape the archetype. No longer distant gods, but living flames igniting the next generation's fire. Guiding this lineage, the professors eternal gatekeepers of knowledge. Oak Hands read his Pokédex in Pallet Town's sun-dappled lab, a device to catalogue the world's pulse. Elm in New Bark Town entrusts the egg that hatches destiny. Birch flees Team Magma in a thicket. Rowan challenges with lakeside enigmas. Juniper probes Unova's truths. Her Sycamore ignites Mega Evolution's spark in Lumiose's glow. They're not battlers, they're architects. Their Pokédexes weaving a global tapestry. Sada and Turo push boundaries into paradox. Their AI echoes warning of hubris, yet each passes the starter. Sprigatito, Fuecoco, Quaxley, to youths who complete what elders began. This is the Pokémon world's heartbeat, youth eclipsing the prior generation's shadows. Red overtakes Giovanni's criminal empire. Gold humbles Red. The Hoenn child thwarts Steven's predecessor's ecological blindness. Dawn or Lucas dismantles Cynthia's overlooked galactic threat. Rosa, ornate, reforms Plasma's fractured dream. Serena or Callum halts Aziz's millennium grudge. Victor or Gloria topples Leon's complacency. And in Paldea, you, the player, forge past Sada's temporal folly, Kieran's obsessive rage, even Nemona's unquenchable hunger. Champions rise and yield, professors illuminate the path. Regions blend in global arenas, all so the young can mend what elders rent asunder. From Mount Silver's frosty summit to Area Zero's shimmering depths, the legacy pulses onward, unbreakable. Yet whispers from Kalos hint at reboots and revelations waiting in Lumiose's lights. Chapter 28. The future of Lumiose unveils what storms brew there. Don't drift off just yet. As the flames of the World Coronation Series flicker across stadiums from Paldea to Galar, drawing champions like Nemona and Gita into a whirlwind of unified battling traditions, a single city's skyline begins to pulse with even greater ambition. Lumiose City, that glittering jewel of Kalos, it announces a bold new chapter, an urban redevelopment plan that promises to reshape its boulevards, towers, and boulevards into a harmonious fusion of human ingenuity and Pokémon vitality. Picture the Prism Tower at its heart, no longer just a beacon of light, but the nucleus of transformation. Cranes rise like the necks of Girafarig, silhouetted against the perpetual glow of holographic billboards advertising mega evolutions and sustainable energy grids powered by Pokémon like Heliolisk. The plan unfolds in phases, starting with the expansion of Lumiose's central districts, where narrow cobblestone alleys yield to wide promenades lined with vertical gardens tended by Roserade and Giovanni. Public plazas will host communal battle arenas embedded with smart tech, floors that adapt to terrain seeds, or walls that project illusory opponents for training sessions that never end. This isn't mere renovation, it's a vision born from Kalos's own turbulent past. Remember the ultimate weapon, that ancient cannon forged in war and regret, buried beneath the city? The redevelopment excavates those scars, converting forgotten bunkers into innovation hubs where engineers collaborate with Pokémon researchers. Factories once shadowed by industrial smog now hum with clean fusion reactors, fueled by the boundless energy of Magnezone swarms. Their magnetic fields stabilizing power flows that light up the entire region without a single fossil burned. But whispers circulate through the cafes of North Boulevard and the salons of South Boulevard. This rebirth ties directly to the enigma of Legends ZA. Announced for release in 2025, this game plunges us back into Kalos, not as the elegant expanse of X and Y, but as a reimagined epic centered on Lumiose itself. Trailers tease a sprawling metropolis under construction, where construction crews battle rogue Pokémon amid scaffolding and steam vents, evoking the raw pioneering spirit of Legends. Arceus, but grafted onto a futuristic urban canvas. What secrets does this ZA hold? Is it the key to Azid, the immortal king whose flute once summoned eternal Pokémon? now stirring from his 1,000-year slumber to guide or haunt this new era. Kalos has always danced on the edge of myth and modernity, from the moment you first stepped off the train in Generation 6, arriving amid the scent of fresh croissants and the chatter of fletchling overhead. The region embodied progress, laced with peril. Skyscrapers pierced the clouds. Elevators whisked you skyward on the backs of invisible currents manipulated by Klefki keys, and every cafe corner buzzed with Pokeball transfers via sleek PC systems. Yet beneath that polish lay the fairy type's disruptive magic, mega evolutions, shattering battle norms, and the lingering echo of a war that pitted humans against their Pokemon partners in a bid for supremacy. Now, Legends, ZA amplifies that tension, probing the coexistence of humans and Pokemon in a world accelerating toward hyper-technology. Imagine streets where autonomous drones, patterned after Volcarona, deliver supplies while Arduino networks monitor public health in real time. Holocasters evolve into neural implants, allowing trainers to share sensory feeds with their teams. Feel the rush of a Talonflame's dive through your own veins, or the seismic rumble of a Garchomp's charge, but harmony frays at the edges. Reports of tech-phobic Pokemon rampages, wild Luxray packs, short-circuiting power lines in protest, urban sprawl encroaching on sacred groves where Xerneas and Yveltal once slumbered. The redevelopment plan addresses this head-on, with symbiosis zones, expansive parks integrated into high-rises where Pokemon like Torterra anchor green rooftops and Altaria choruses regulate air quality through song-induced updrafts. Schools incorporate battle sims powered by EV evolutions, adapting to virtual environments, fostering bonds that transcend the digital divide. Yet skeptics in Lumiose's underground forums murmur of overreach. Will this tech utopia dilute the wild essence of Pokemon, turning partners into optimized appliances? Deeper still, Legends ZA hints at threads weaving beyond Kalos's borders. Aziz's return isn't isolated. His story intersects with the multiverse rifts from Delta episode wormholes and Paldea's Area Zero anomalies. Could Lumiose's reconstruction unearth artifacts bridging Hisui's space-time fractures to Paldea's terrestrial crystals? Trailers flicker with silhouettes of unfamiliar silhouettes, perhaps precursors to a 10th generation, expanding the known world into uncharted oceans or skyward realms teased in recent leaks as winds and waves. Envision fleets of Lapras-like vessels charting new archipelagos, where human Pokemon societies pioneer floating cities resistant to rising seas caused by ancient legendary clashes, or aerial metropolises buoyed by Dragonite clans, extending Kalos's influence into realms where gravity bends like Mega Rayquaza's tail. These hints pulse through developer interviews. Game Freak promises evolutions in open-world design, deeper lore integrations, and mechanics that let technology amplify rather than replace the primal trainer Pokemon Link. As Lumiose's lights refract through rain-slicked streets at dusk, casting rainbows on the faces of wide-eyed children with their first spritzy companions, one question lingers like mist over the River Seine. What cataclysm or salvation does a Z herald for this technological dawn? The redevelopment marches forward, block by block, but its true legacy may redefine not just Kalos, but the entire Pokemon world we've chronicled across 9 generations. And that brings us to Chapter 29, one unbroken story where every rift, every champion's triumph, and every city's rebirth converges into a tapestry that might just reveal the grand design Arceus wove from the start. What single thread binds Hisui's frenzy to Lumiose's lights? Stay with me to uncover it. As Lumiose City hums with the promise of rebirth under those sweeping redevelopment plans, its ancient stones whisper connections to every shadowed rift and sunlit league across the Pokemon world. This isn't just a single region's revival, it's a thread pulling taut through centuries, binding the frenzy of Hisui's wilds to the paradoxes of Paldea's depths, from Red's silent triumph on Mount Silver to the terrestrial glow of Kitakami's festivals. Picture the surveyors of Hisui over 200 years ago, their lanterns flickering against rampaging noble Pokémon, alphas like Cleaver and Lilligant driven mad by a mysterious red gas from the sky. They weren't conquerors, they were partners in peril, humans and Pokémon forging the first fragile pacts in the ancient land that would one day bloom into Sinnoh's storied peaks. Those early bonds held firm as time twisted forward, Dialga's scales etching eras into eternity. Fast forward through the haze of legend, and you land in Kanto, where a young trainer from Pallet Town steps out with just a starter at their side. Bulbasaur's vine curling trustingly around a wrist, or Charmander's tail flame dancing like a heartbeat. Team Rocket's shadow loomed large, Giovanni's ambitions to control Pokémon through sheer force crumbling under that unyielding partnership. Badges gleamed on a rival's coat. The Elite Four fell, and Lance's dragon roared in defeat. Yet even as that champion claimed the title, eyes turned westward to Johto, where mere 3 years later, another child from New Barktown chased Silver's fury and Rocket's desperate resurgence across Ekrutaik's fog-shrouded towers. But timelines don't march in straight lines here. They overlap like roots, entwining beneath the earth. While Johto's bells tolled for redemption on Mount Silver, where Red waited in eternal vigil, Hoenn's seas boiled under Team Aqua and Magma's warring dreams. Kyogre's primal rage clashed with Groudon's earthen fury, waves crashing against continents until Rayquaza descended, emerald coils calming the storm. That Hoenn trainer, with their Trico or Torchic or Mudkip, nuzzling close through the chaos, mirrored Kanto's resolve. Humans and Pokémon, not masters and beasts, but allies rewriting Cataclysm into harmony. Sinnoh emerged next from Hisui's echoes, its lakes shimmering with the spirits of Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf. Cyrus of Team Galactic sought to unmake the world in Distortion World Static, but Dialga and Palkia, born of that ancient creation, bent to a trainer's will alongside their loyal Chimchar, or Piplup, or Turtwig. Platinum's truths unveiled deeper rifts, time and space straining as Giratina lurked in shadows. These weren't isolated tales. Jasmine's words to a wandering hero hinted at the nearness of Johto's trials, Cynthia's lore bridging eras with a champion's quiet wisdom. Unova's skyscrapers rose against that backdrop, Black and White's ideals fracturing under N's symphony of liberated Pokémon. Reshiram and Zekrom's black and white flames tested every bond, only for a trainer's Tepig or Snivy or Oshawott to prove harmony's strength. 2 years on, in the sequels, Colress's machines and Plasma's shadowed remnants fused Kyurem's chill into legend, but the people's choices, fierce, flawed, united, shattered the ice. Kalos, with its eternal flower and Aziz's 1,000-year grief, slotted in close, its mega-evolutions pulsing like heartbeats of evolution itself. Lysandra's ultimate weapon nearly bloomed in Geosenge's valley, Yveltal's wings blotting the sun until a Froakie-bonded soul and their team turned despair to dawn. Lumiose's lights flickered through it all, now poised for ZA's revelations, delving into that region's fractured past where choices echo loudest. Alola's islands called next, less than 3 years adrift in the tropical haze. Team Skull's bravado masked Ether's twisted arc, ultra beasts spilling from wormholes like nightmares given form. Solgaleo or Lunala pierced the veil, guided by a Rowlet or Litten or Poplio that knew no fear, only loyalty. Galar followed swiftly, its wild areas thundering with Dynamax giants, Eternatus's poison corrupting the crown tundra. A Wooloo at your heels through stadiums and raids, Macrocosmos's facade cracking under Leon's shadow and a new champion's rise. Paldea anchors the present, its vast open skies scarred by Area Zero's temporal scars. Scarlet paths or violet veils lead to paradox beasts, roaring moons and iron valiants clawing from rifts, born of an expedition 2 centuries past, mirroring Hisui's own upheavals. Terrapagos's crystalline form pulses with the world's hidden energy. Kieran's obsession in the Blueberry Academy's depths, a stark reminder of bonds tested to breaking. The Loyal Three's betrayal in Kitakami, Ogerpon's masked sorrow, even Mochi Mayhem's doughy whimsy, all weave back to that primal truth. Through 9 generations, from pixelated quests on Game Boys to Switch's boundless horizons, one story endures unbroken. Evil teams rise like seasonal storms, Rocket's greed, Galactic's void, Plasma's zeal, yet fall to children with Pokémon at their side, badges earned not through domination, but mutual growth. Legendaries clash and calm, from Arceus's first breath, birthing Dialga's rivers of time, and Palkia's boundless voids, to the multiverse's wormholes, confirming infinite branches where choices diverge. That is Arceus's quiet decree, etched in every myth. This world isn't forged in divine isolation, but shaped by its inhabitants. The trainer who recalls their Pikachu mid-battle, the Pokémon who shields its human from paradox claws, the champions whose legacies span regions, from Red's pinnacle to Nemona's fiery grin. Humans and Pokémon intertwined since Hisui's first surveys, their bond the unbreakable spine holding chaos at bay. And as Legend ZA beckons back to Kalos's heart, and whispers of wind-swept waves hint at horizons yet unmapped, the journey presses on. The map unfolds endlessly, rifts sealing and opening, new partners awaiting in uncharted wilds. Every badge, every clash, every quiet moment by a campfire with your team, it's all one saga, pulsing with possibility, shaped by you. What did you think of this journey? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this changed your perspective or taught you something new, consider subscribing for more mind-expanding content. And if you know someone who would find this as fascinating as you did, share it with them. These are the kind of conversations that matter.